was sitting here smoking weed, and then I looked at the clock and it was 6:31. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, everybody. Really fucked up that one. Yeah. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's Monday. Happy Monday. I'm Lolo. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm good, Neil. How are you? Bonjour. Bonjour, mes amis. I'm good. Good morning, Badge. How are you, darling? Sorry I'm a little late. I was literally like lighting a joint and being like, oh gosh, I got a couple minutes. No. Anyway, I'm good. I'm better. I'm better. Let me tell you something about our brains. Can I tell you something about our brains, please? Um, our brains are so fucking strange. It's just so strange. And I'm really tired of it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I could, but it'd barely be boring. But good morning and welcome to Wake and Bake. I'm Lolo and I'm baking and I woke up. So there's two. There's two things done. Okay, well, goodbye, everybody. No. Hey, why is my thing not? Hold on. Let me fix my chat. I'm really mad about this. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. I have new things that I did, and it's not, it's not keeping any of my things the way I want it. Where is it? I want to test a widget. Hold on. That's the wrong one. Oh, this makes me really mad. This really makes me mad. Why won't this do this? Hold on. Why is it not? Why is it not? It's supposed to be a really cool thing now, and the chat box was supposed to be really cool, and I'm really mad about it. Let me tell you, I'm really mad about it. I can I complain for a minute? I had a really bad Saturday, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I really apologize. I don't. There's a whole thing wrapped up in all of this. Believe me, and it all comes with guilt and other things. So uh, don't worry if you think. I feel I can't even describe to you the bad feeling I have when I cancel. You can ask Bobo. She'll tell you. It's not good. And it's not nothing's good. Nothing's good in that situation. Um anyway, I need to call my doctor. But yeah, no, but I survived. I mean, of course. It was nothing. I mean, it was just whatever. It's whatever it was. Uh what was I going to complain about? Oh, I go into my system over the weekend and I change things, and then every time I open up my system again to go live, it doesn't keep any of the things. I'm going to try something really crazy here. Oh, okay, maybe this isn't so crazy. Now, where, like, for example, what the fuck? Urgh! There, that's what I want, stupid. Oh. Urgh! And then the other thing I want, general settings. Get rid of. Oh, okay, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. Let me delete this other thing. Oh, here we go. Sorry. I don't know why this doesn't work though. I just don't get it. This one. active. Nope, this is right. Ah, this is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. Mm. Bitch. Okay, now I think I've got it. Wow, there's like 3 places you need to. Never mind. There's 3 places you need to do things. Hold on, I'm going to test it. Wait, what? Oh. There we go. See, I changed it and I customized them. But it didn't oh, I should make that bigger. Ah, ah, it disappeared. Make that bigger. Okay. Yay! And then I should have a chat box. It'll come back. But I just took away all the stuff, all the frames and everything. I was getting tired of them. Anyway, boy, what a weekend. How was everyone's weekend? Oh my god, did anyone do anything fun? Did you guys do anything fun? I'm just trying to make sure I find the chat box so you guys are back on the screen. Back in the saddle again. It's only Canadians. We have a Canadian show. Canadian show. Canadian show. Welcome to the Canadian show. Oops, I got to close my window because I don't want to wake up my neighbors. Yeah, thanks, Badge. Thank you. You guys have been here through all of it, thick and thin. Sure am tired of the thick parts, you know what I'm saying? And I cut my hair. I cut my hair and I think I cut too much, but that's fine. Hold on. Everything's a thing. Anyway, I hope you guys are good. Oh, really? Thanks. No fun. 9%? Oh my god. Neil, that's a terrible amount. That's a lot. That's a lot. Hey Muskie, how are you doing? Yeah. Oh, thanks, babe. 9%. I've had like a 3%. Well, that's not true. I guess I have had like an 8 or 9% in New York. I guess that's true. I did have that. That's true. Yeah. But then I moved because it was already too expensive. Thanks, Audrey. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know. Emotional issues, whatever our brain does to us, because this is like what I go through, I know is chemical. My life is fine. My life is good. I have people who love me. I have you guys. I love you. You love me, or you like me at least. $100 a year. You're kidding. Yours been 100. Oh, 100 every 4 years? Oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I think it's time for our compound. I think it's time for us to be serious. It was a shit show in my abode this week, and I have missed y'all. Audrey, I love you so much. Girl, you're one of those people that I wish I could just give a hug to. I just think you're just such a wonderful person. And you've been a friend for a long time, so I'm so sorry about that, babes. It is, but I'm also paying about 33% market rate, so it's comparatively reasonable. But still, yeah, grr. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot to raise it in just you know, I don't know. That's just a lot. Because it changes. We plan our expenses around what our expenses are, right? So it's not, you can't just like fuck around with that and expect it to be okay. Anyway, good morning. I'm glad you guys are all here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so let's see. I yeah, I cut my hair this weekend. Probably not a good thing to do when you're in emotionally fragile place. Don't I would not pick up the scissors, but to each his own. See, that's better. It's just like a chat flow. There's no box or anything, and yeah, ugh, there was too much stuff on the screen. But I'll never get rid of my Putin. Uh-oh, where's my Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so not cheap to move at my age. No friends young enough to help. Fuck, I'm here with you for that one. I'm here for you with that one. My daughter has been like the moving champion the last couple of moves. She's really stepped up. So I feel really lucky in that regard as well. But then sometimes I don't feel lucky. I mean, that's the thing, Sometimes our lives are not, we don't view everything equally and say, "Oh, well, you know, in the scheme of things, everything adds up." Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not cheap. It's not. It's very expensive. And you know what the other thing is? As a retiree, so I can't work extra OT, for example. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Neil. You plan your I mean, everyone does really, and even as a non-retired, but yeah, definitely, especially when you are retired, there's just one source. Like there's just not a lot of extra. There's not an opportunity to like, oh, I'm going to make $200, this way. Not like in the old days. No, I'm just kidding. No healthy young friends. That's okay, Neil. We'll come up and move you. I'll go to Montreal to move you. That's no problem. Of course, it'll be kind of an expensive moving. I have to look into a tent by the canal. No, no, Neil. Let's get a van. I'll get a van, and we'll all be. I'm telling you, we're gonna find our own. We're gonna find our own compound where we can park our vans with the power and water. Oh my God, this coffee's really good. Anyway, yeah, have passport. I don't know. I don't know if my passport's any good. I haven't looked at my passport in a minute. Val, my very accomplished daughter, has been seen severe again in hiring here. Oh, really? Oh, ooh. Oh, make it near Banff. Oh gosh, I would do that, Neil. That's funny you say that because I was just thinking about Banff the other day. I think I need to go up there. I know. I think mine's close or just over. Yeah, that's me too, Adriana. I think mine's just about done. I better check. Hi, Jay. How are you, darling? Hi, bestie. Ah, oh, this joint keeps going out. What the hell? Anyway, good morning. Welcome to Monday. This is your Monday. Hi, it's your Monday calling. Hi, hi. It's the Monday. We have a few things this morning, not crazy amounts that I found. Hopefully Gal will come in and others who have wonderful things to share with us. But yeah, let's see. I don't know. I don't have much thoughts over this weekend. I am really uh I'm upset about what happened in Boulder. I think I'm so sick of like violence in any form, and just like fucking let's just let everybody live, right? Let's just let everyone live. And I can't with any more of this like violence. I mean, I can obviously because it's going to happen regardless, but God, I'm just like, why do we have to continue to why does the protesting have to become pain? And that's what I would wish. There was a an attack on a group of people marching for the hostages in the remaining hostages in the Israel Gaza situation. And you know, I understand all the pain. I think that when you get to the point of actually throwing Molotov cocktails and other things, there's more going on than just the pain that you're expressing. And so, my heart hurts for people that also go through that when it pushes you to the point of violence. That to me is more a cry of that person needs help um, than anything, and the power of their conviction. I understand that as well, because children are starving, dying, being bombed, and the Israelis are inflicting that upon the Palestinian people. And so I completely understand the emotion behind it. But I just, to the point of taking or trying to harm other people who are expressing their First Amendment right, that's where I can't obviously get behind that. But I don't know. I just wish there would be an end to the suffering in Gaza, and that we could. It's so funny, because it's like I used to think we were a little bit closer to a good place than we were, and now it just feels so far away. It just feels so far away to get to a place where I don't know. And dealing this weekend and just seeing people who are who don't even realize how bigoted they are. That's the thing. There's a lot that people don't realize that they're doing and expressing, or I think they do realize it, but they don't want to believe it about themselves. Does that make sense? Like, I think for a lot of people who express racist, you know, thoughts or whatever, it's not that they can't change it, because I 100% believe people are smart enough to figure out what's going on around them. But they don't seem to even understand what it is about what they say or what they do that gives us the impression that they're bigots. You know, for example, it's Pride Month. Happy Pride. And, there are, I heard people over the weekend again express that a couple of things, like, for example, that they support gay people and stuff like that, but then they also know that people struggle with mental illness, making a not so subtle tie between being gay and a mental illness, which is fucking gross and ridiculous and disgusting and bigoted, frankly. And I don't think the people that say those things totally embrace the fact that those are judgments that are not accurate. They're just not accurate. And indeed, when you perpetuate that trope, that being gay is somehow a mental illness, you are perpetuating bigoted tropes. So that's not you actually have your belief system is in the wrong place. There's one. That's one I heard this weekend. The other I heard, and I hear this a lot, and this one always gets me. Sorry, my hair's like out of control. Uh this one always gets me. It's always like, well, around gay people or trans people or whatever, it's always like, well, I just don't want it so out there. I just don't want it to be, in schools, or I don't want it to be in whatever. I don't want it to be so in my face. Well, that's 100% bigoted, and let me explain why. What you are saying is, let's see, if I was, well, okay, I'm an old lady. I'm an old lady, right? And you could say something like, I think all old ladies should just stay home and stay off the internet. You might be right. But anyway, besides the point. If you say to someone, I I totally accept you as existing. I love gay people. I love Drag Race. But then you go, but I just don't want it out there. Or I want it in my face, or I don't want my kids to see it. Nobody wants your kids, okay? Nobody. Nobody's recruiting. Nobody gives a flying fuck. Frankly, I don't want your kids around. How about that? Nobody wants your kids. Nobody wants to recruit new gay people. No, no, none of that. None of that is true. None of it. And so if you're like asking people to hide who they are naturally, think about that. Think about having to be forced to hide who you are just because it makes you uncomfortable or someone else uncomfortable. That's ridiculous. And that's the part where I don't understand that people who express those types of feelings, which, it's fine to have those feelings, but you need to recognize that when you're having those feelings, it's a reflection back on your value of other people and how you value them. And I mean, and even as someone who's straight, I feel a twinge whenever someone says that because it's like, so you're telling me that there's a population of people that it's okay if they come out, on Drag Race or Pride or, or a TV show or whatever, but it's not okay if they're just living their lives like normal human beings. So I think that my I don't know, but that's my observation is that people who express that stuff, that's bigots. I mean, that's a bigoted response. I know that you may not think you're a bigot, but that is a bigoted response. So I would definitely reflect. I would reflect. I would reflect and think about whether or not you're really an ally or whatever you want to call yourself. Someone really wise told me, allies act in ways that are allies. They don't just say, I'm an ally. I love gay people. I have gay friends. My nephew's gay. Which is great. But and just as we are not defined by our straightness all the time, people who are gay are not defined by their gayness. They're actually fully complex human beings. And, I live near West Hollywood and nobody's out, having sex in the street or anything like that. It doesn't happen. So anyway, that's my speech for this Pride morning is just, it's okay to question oneself and say, am I really being as of course. Thank you, Val. Thank you. Confession, that used to be me. It took a while to realize what I was doing. And that is fucking the point. Like that's the most beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Val. Because that to me is how I feel. Like if I evolve, and I've evolved on things like I used to think about appropriation. I think I've told this story before. There was something that came up with braids, a white girl wearing cornrow braids, and there was a big kerfuffle in the news about it. It was many years ago, and I was like, I don't really understand why braids are an issue. I didn't understand it, and and Bobo was like, well, let me explain to you why it's an issue, and she talked to me about like appropriation and how all of those things. And it makes total sense to me. And it's really funny that I thought of myself as a very uh empathetic, like woke, whatever, aware person. And I held this thing where I didn't really see the big deal in appropriative fashion or whatever. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Generational trauma, it's a thing. Systemic racism, it's a thing. So, I don't know. I think Pride, yes. Pride month is a great time to reflect on our own views and whether or not, there's room for us to grow. I think it's a growth month. Hi, Oomph, how are you? Hi, Carrie. Hi, Jane. Um, yeah, it's a growth month. Think of it that way. Mm. And don't spend time fluffing up racists. Don't spend time doing that. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve, like, or bigots. They don't deserve that. It's not okay, and they should be shunned. Sorry. I mean, the outward bigots. The ones who may not realize that they're like completely not thinking. Growth is good. Growth is good. My mom's bestie, rest in peace, was gay, and he was like a father figure to me. I remember in the 90s, everyone would say, that's gay for things that didn't approve of, and it always made me mad. Yeah. Yeah. Now people are doing it again. Yeah, I know. They really want those words. Man, they really, especially the incels, they really, really love that. Okay, okay, calm down. Calm down. Calm down, silly Roxy. Calm down with you. See, here we go. We have a bigot come in right away. Oh boy. Anyway, yeah. I guess it's time for you, Roxy, to, reflect. Reflect on the fact that you are a thank you for showing that bigots exist. I appreciate it. I appreciate the exemplar. I think that's great. Thanks for watching. You're supporting pro rainbow. Pro rainbow in here, so thanks for being a support. Wait, I have to find my thing. Hold on. Ah, everybody's breaking up the joint. Everybody's breaking up the joint. Whoa, that's me singing. What's the matter? Oh, okay, here we go. Where are you? I don't know where you are. But Roxy, what's your alt for? Tell me what your alt is. I think if you're gonna come in here and spout shit, that you should like tell me, tell us who you are, really. Can I do that? Hold on to your love. You've got to hold on. Hold on. Boy, I'd sure rather be me than you. You know that? That's the one thing. I'd rather be me than you. Roxy's not joking. Roxy, who isn't Roxy, it's probably like Bullets or someone like that, or Daisy, or I don't know. I guess Daisy doesn't know how to make an alt, so probably not Daisy. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, I just needed an exemplar, and here you come right walking in. Oh, did you retract it? Oh, okay. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'd retract it too. Unfortunately, it's still up there. Ha ha. Hi Jim. Hi G. How you doing? How you doing, girl? Jim. The closeted people complain the most. See, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's the thing. I'm not even going to give them that grace. I'm not going to give them the grace that they have, But hey, you know what? Use this as your moment to reflect on what a terrible person you are. There you go. And guess what? Trans lives matter. Trans men are men and trans women are women. And gender is a construct. That's right. There is no gender. It's something we made up. I can't wait till we're in the post-gender world. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, J Rance. Good morning, Muskie. Good morning, everyone. Everyone. Let's see. This morning we have some things. And let's see. I wanted to start with there. I have a couple of videos. Guess what, Jane? Jane, are you in the room? Because we have Ruta. That's right. It's Ruta morning. Zelensky and Ruta. We're going to watch that. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, it's ended. Okay. Well, we'll go back. Hopefully you guys didn't watch it already because I realize that you guys wake up a lot earlier than I do. Yes, there's a Ruta. Oh, wait. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then I have something about Hungary. I've got some Australia stuff. Hi, butterflies. How you doing? Oh, thanks for being here. MAGA thinks it's all about sex, baby, because they're not having good sex. Gee. That's what it is. They're not having good sex. And so that's all they think about is other people having good sex. No, Ursula von der Bar is not on the agenda. Damn it. Damn it. I'm reflecting on, do I cheat at trivia too much? Carla. Carla. Yeah, that's what I'm using this time to reflect on. That's what I want to. Yeah, I'm done. Gender's dumb. And you know what? Let me say something else, which I could also evolve on this too. But I think I'm right. If transgender athletes are such a problem, why don't they win everything? Do you ever think about that? If trans athletes are such a threat, why don't they win everything? Huh? Wait, what? I've always asked myself that question when it came. First of all, it's incredibly, it is bigoted to think that trans athletes should be withheld from from any sport. I just fucking, let the cards fall where they may. But if you're trying to convince me that somehow trans athletes have like this incredible advantage over everyone in their field, why the fuck don't they own all the trophies? Okay? Really? So anyway, that's my point. MAGA are weird about sex. It makes them wonder about other people's sex lives too much. It's just fine. I don't even understand it. But yeah. Anyway, we're going all over and we're going to Poland and Tasmania. Oh my God. And Hungary. You guys, I have a global wake and bake for you this morning. It's global. And I have a couple things to read, but we've got some things to watch. Let me first start. Let's see. Let's start with, I guess we should start with Zelensky and Rutte. Let's see, maybe make sure that I haven't missed anyone. Oh, have a good day, G. Thanks for stopping in. Adore you. Hope you're well. And thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Peace out. Peace out, girly. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, any announcements I needed to make. No, I don't think so. Okay. Let's start with some of the shorter ones and then we'll ease our way into the route. The route. I just love saying his name. I don't even need anything else. To say his name. Say my name. Karen, you're here too. Yay. Haggard. Oh, love you, Hags. Let's see here. Okay, first we're going to go to, where should we go first? let's go to Poland. Stop it, stop it, stop it. All right, so this is a story from, I think, is it yesterday? Because I was kind of curious. Yeah, it was 11 hours ago. I was kind of curious about what's happening in the Polish. In fact, I haven't gotten a morning report on the Poland elections. So this is from 11 hours ago. We'll have to check the headlines to see if there's something different. But for now, this was the sitch 11 hours ago. They fucked it up. Thanks, Karen. I'm here. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's complicated. Yikes!
Drodzy Państwo, tak, my zwyciężymy. Dzisiaj w nocy zwyciężymy. Zwyciężymy i ocalimy Polskę. Nie pozwolimy na to, aby domknęła się władza Donalda Tuska i aby monopol władzy złej, władzy, która nie dba o finanse publiczne, władzy, która zabiera nam wielkie marzenia i zabiera nam aspiracje. Aby ten monopol się nie domknął, my w nocy musimy zwyciężyć i wiemy, że tak się stanie.
Bo dokładnie tak jak mówiłem od samego początku, od kiedy zaczęliśmy prekampanii, w całej kampanii wyborczej, mówiłem Państwu, że będzie bardzo blisko, że każdy głos będzie się liczył. I chciałem przede wszystkim podziękować wszystkim Polkom i Polakom za oddany na mnie głos. Dziękuję Wam bardzo.
And the next thing I have is Tasmania. I have Tasmania news. Oh my God, I'm so excited about it. Hi Jim. When I worked in Poland, I'd used to smuggle home bison grass vodka. It has blades of grass in the bottle. Ugh. Ugh. Hi Jane, Adriana, and Neil, who's excited to see me and said, "Yay!" Let me see. MAGAs are celebrating him as an anti-globalist. Oh, so many truckers. I know. Well, I'll tell you, the French know how to protest. I'll tell you that right now. They don't fuck around. They do not fuck around. Really, the grass is better than a worm? Is it like really? It must be. I don't know. What's in the grass? I don't get it. Is bison grass like particularly potent or grassy? So does it taste grassy, Jim? That sounds disgusting. That sounds terrible. I'm sorry. I have to say that. Not that it's terrible to drink it, but it just sounds disgusting. Ugh. Okay, wait. So did we get hold on. I need to find out do we have an update of the what? Wait. Do we have an update of who actually won? Hold on. I need to know. Because wasn't there, or is there a runoff planned? Elections, here we go. Here we go. Polish nationalist. Oh, fuck. Well, there it is. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up a story. Oh, here we go. This is The Guardian from 40 minutes ago. Hold on. Boop. All right, here we go. Calls to renegotiate coalition agreement. After victory in Poland presidential election for right-wing candidate Karol Nawrocki, as it happened. Okay. Leaders of parties forming Tusk government to discuss coalition of arrangements after Nawrocki's victory over Warsaw Mayor Trzaskowski. I'm so sorry. I don't speak Polish, so I don't know how to pronounce Polish words. Let's see. Orban and Le Pen. Oh, I have a story about Hungary, too. Poland had another election and the nationalists. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Let's see. Show more. Calls to renegotiate. Da 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 da. Sam Speaker Szymon Hołownia, who leads one of the junior coalition parties, Polska 2050, with 32 MPs, has just said that leaders of all parties forming the Tusk government will meet today to discuss the coalition agreements in the aftermath of last night's presidential defeat. Shit. Polonia, a failed presidential candidate himself as he came fifth in the first round with 5% of votes, said he would request that the coalition agreement be renegotiated to draw lessons from what happened in the election process. What? I'm not talking about positions or posts here. What matters most is that we clearly and consistently communicate to the Polish people what we aim to achieve over the next 2 years, how we plan to do it, and what our priorities are. He added that the election result, as I've said many times, is a yellow card, maybe even a red one for this government and the coalition. I've spent 6 months traveling across Poland, listening and taking the criticism for every ministry, starting with the prime minister. I was the only candidate on this side who went out there and had the courage to face the disappointed hopes of Polish citizens. This isn't a time for tearing our clothes in despair. It's time to get to work. And for that, we need to clearly define our priorities. His comments only add to a rather hectic atmosphere before the coalition meeting and statement from Prime Minister Donald Tusk expected at 8 p.m. tonight. Did that already happen? Has yet to comment on the result of last night's vote and the bitter disappointment. It's unusual for him to be so restrained. He's normally very active on social media and keen to speak on public issues. In the last few minutes, TVN24 reported that he will offer his reaction in a special broadcast. One to watch. So it looks like I don't get it. Okay. Oh, brrr. Wow. So it looks like the more pro-EU, I guess is how they describe it, is really in the northern part of Poland and not like, is this the border with Ukraine over here? Is it the eastern border that's on Ukraine? I think Poland Kristi Noem campaigned for this guy on the, oh God. Kristi Noem needs to really, something needs to give with that one. What are the chances Russia didn't? No, they already did. I think we already know that. Or maybe we don't know that, but I thought we knew that. I could be wrong. All right, well, let's go all the way down. Let's go south and west from Poland all the way down to Tasmania. Because guess what? We've got a little Tasmania news, and I couldn't resist it. Because you know how I feel about Tasmania, which used to be its own country. No, I don't think it was, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, here we go. This is just a couple minutes.
It's a day that's essentially been 20 years in the making. Thousands of people are taking part in a ceremonial walk over the newly constructed Bridgewater Bridge. We chatted with a few of the locals to ask them what makes this such an important occasion. Why did you want to walk over the bridge today?
Because it's new.
Yeah. And we watched it come from the start to finish.
Watched it all the way, yeah.
I worked here in Bridgewater for 30 years and I never thought I'd see this day. Never did.
Busting to get over here. You got no idea. And this is my family that surprised me to do it. I wasn't going to do it, but I'm glad I did. I love it. I love this bridge.
I never walked on the bridge before, so I didn't get the Hobart or the Bowen, so I got this one. Yeah.
I rode the bus and go to the bridge.
Just for the experience, like one-time experience, you know? Like it's really big.
Hello!
That's so cute.
I've been here long enough to see this start from the beginning, and it's nice to be able to go over it.
Oh, but just because.
Stop it. Did you see that little coat? Look at that. Look at the cozy that she is wearing. It has koalas on it. Stop it. This is so cute. Oh my God. You're adorable. Ma'am, you are freaking adorable. And I adore you.
to go over it.
Oh, well, just because, you know, we've been waiting for so long, and here we are, we're doing it.
And it wasn't just for the locals. Australia's Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, flew south for the occasion.
People will remember that they got the opportunity to walk across this magnificent piece of infrastructure.
At $786 million, the new 4-lane bridge replaces the old 1940s 2-lane bridge and allows for the continuous flow of traffic towards the middle of Tasmania. While these people were among the first to walk the bridge, the first to drive over it were Margaret McMaster and Barbara Jones, who were there when the old Bridgewater Bridge was opened in 1946. That's set to be demolished in the coming 12 months. The new structure sits 16 metres high and spans 1.2 kilometres. It's been a long time coming, with some funding promised way back in 2004 before political disagreements over scope and priorities meant it was put on hold. But construction finally started in 2022 and it's largely been finished on schedule. After the bridge was crossed by thousands of locals on foot, it opened to traffic, marking a new chapter for Tasmania's travellers.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Well, congratulations, Tasmania. You guys rock. Oops. Congratulations to our friends in Tasmania. We adore you. You know how it goes. Wait, Karen, you had some information. Hold on. Fake trucker bits commenting everywhere, mostly Canadian. Oh, really? Oh, the grass in the vodka is illegal. Makes you trip. That's weird. I wonder why. I wonder what's in the. I mean, I guess it's just. Wait, is the grass itself like hallucinogenic, or is it just when it gets in the alcohol? I wonder. In the late 2010s, Zabroka was reintroduced to the United States after a ban of more than 30 years with a revised recipe that removed the coumarin. The coumarin. Oh, okay. Oh, in the USA, Food and Drug Administration has banned bison grass because it contains coumarin, a blood thinner that also causes liver damage in rats. Oh, Karen. Oh, my Lord. Thank you, Karen. God, thanks for that update. Jim, don't eat the grass. Stop. Why do TV news people in all countries use that sing-song tone? When they build the bridge from Tasmania to Victoria State, that'll be a feat. Yeah. But they probably won't. I don't know why, but they just probably won't. I think women newscasters might do it because some other forms of women's speech patterns are ignored by or annoying to men. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have changed the way I spoke when I worked in corporate. I agree with that. Considering the amount of American money donated to the truckers, wasn't it like Elon's money though? Who was the big guy who gave money to the Canadian freedom movement? I can't remember. I'm not a rat. I was just surprised that Poland had bison. Yeah, well, or bison grass. I mean, bison grass or well, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Who blew up the bridges in Russia bordering Ukraine? Well, Tom, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that too. Just you wait. We're kind of going all over the globe this morning, if you will. It's going to be great. Hold on. Let me pull up the next.
A shake of the head, a heckle, and a...
Wait, what's this? Oh, okay. We're going to Hungary now. We're going to Hungary. We're getting to Ukraine. Okay, we're getting to Ukraine. Just hold on. I'm not a rat. Probably a government contractor that donated to the truckers. I think it was. Wasn't it Elon? I thought it was Elon. Maybe it's not. Tom, you're being censored? Are you sure about that? I'm not censoring you. I can hardly do the technology I have. I can't censor. I can't even. You were censored too? Oh my God. I wonder why. Okay. All right. This is about Hungary. Because I was also interested, like, what's happening in Hungary? This is 8 minutes, so this is a little longer. Okay. So hang in there. Okay. Here we go.
man blasting the trumpet. He heralds question time, Hungary style. János Lázár is a minister in the Fidesz government, and he's speaking directly to the people at a town hall. But after 15 years in power, some appear to be souring.
So why did you come here to hear the minister?
Kíváncsi voltam, ennyi, hogy mit bírnak még hazudni.
There's not just anger in rural towns in the east of Hungary, but also in the capital, Budapest. Recently, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán banned Pride, drawing criticism from the LGBTQ community and leaders in the EU. These rallies have now become weekly demonstrations against the government.
There's a saying when you cook a frog and you start warming the frog up, slowly warming it. It's right now boiling. It's boiling hot.
For years, Viktor Orbán has consolidated power in Hungary, but these protests are part of a rising opposition we've seen across the country, a sense that people are growing tired of what they call Orbán's policies of division. Is the EU's longest-serving leader losing his grip on power?
With Orbán down in the polls, he's come out fighting, resorting to his tried and tested method of blaming the ills of society on his opponents.
Jön a húsvéti nagy takarítás. Átteleltek a poloskák. Felszámoljuk a pénzügyi gépezetet, amely korrupt dollárokból vásárolt meg politikusokat, bírókat, újságírókat, álcivil szervezeteket és politikai aktivistákat. Felszámoljuk az egész árnyékhadsereget.
And this, according to the government, is that shadow
hands?
army.
They look like sausages.
Átlátszó is an independent media group. With Orbán labelling them unpatriotic stink bugs, he's introduced a new law that could shut them down simply because they receive some funding from abroad.
Oh, where does that sound familiar?
He's constantly fighting a war against real or imaginary enemies, but what is really new that he wants to crack down on Hungarian citizens based on perceived non-patriotism or treachery.
Why do you think he's doing it now, though, these laws?
I think he is worried about us and we are annoying because we exposed a lot of corruption. He's down in the polls, the economy is not so great, so he might take desperate steps to remain in power.
And what would that mean for you if this law was passed?
For Átlátszó, it would mean that most probably we go out of business.
And it's not just the media under attack from Orbán. We travel to Debrecen in the Far East, a conservative city, but with a liberal island right in the centre.
So just tell me a bit about this place.
Aggie shows us around this community space, which houses everything from a bicycle repair shop to women cooking food for those in need.
Have things got worse in terms of more people needing the food?
Rosszabb lett az elmúlt 5 évben a helyzet szerintetek?
Sokkal több a rászorulós, többen állnak be a sorba, több a gyerek.
És elégedetlenek, közben pedig dicsőítik Orbán Viktort.
So they don't blame him for the bad economy?
No.
So who do they blame?
A háborút.
The war?
Igen.
The war.
A melegeket.
The LGBTQ?
Igen. A migránsokat.
And this place is another stink bug under threat by the new law.
We have seen ourselves as a targeted enemy before, so we are definitely on the list. Of course, we won't give up, so we want to save this space.
Inside, I meet Boggy, who's been marching against the Pride ban for weeks.
It's definitely less safe, but as like a lesbian, you can kind of like keep it down low. I don't really talk about it. You know, there's a saying like, there's no rest for the wicked. There's no rest for the gays now, but we are definitely not wicked.
Do you have any hope at the moment about things changing in Hungary, things getting better?
Only if there's like a government change.
But is there anyone out there across the vast plains of Hungary who can really challenge Orbán to be Prime Minister?
So there they are on the horizon.
We're tracking down the man who's currently leading in the polls. He's been walking across the entire country, literally picking up supporters as he goes.
Oh my God!
His name is Peter Magyar, and for these voters, he's their only hope.
Do you think he could be Prime Minister?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, of course. He must be, because if he not, Hungary is over. So
Hungary's over?
It's totally
Really?
over, yes. All of my children want to go out
Really?
from this country, and then I don't want this.
I finally get to the front of the line to speak with Magyar just as the weather turns.
Sorry, we brought the English weather.
They are completely fed up with the lies, with the propaganda, with the corruption, the highest level of corruption in the European Union. You can imagine, but...
And so if you come to power next year, will you get rid of all of those things Orban has done to the country, from the courts to the media? Will you get rid of it all?
Not all of them. We will keep the good decisions, of course.
What were the good decisions?
The family policy, the tax policy, the fence at the southern border of Hungary against illegal migration.
Some people want you to be a liberal sort of person against him. Are you still a bit more of a conservative then, if you want to keep some of his policies?
I think it's not important, my personal stance or my personal feelings. And I don't care about the ideologies. We don't have time, we don't have enough energy to speak about ideological questions.
This downpour is a sign of things to come, as Orbán's government prepares to throw everything they can at Magyar, their number one stink bug.
Hogy idegen érdekeket képviselni Magyarországon a politikában nem szabad és nem lehet. Ez a legfontosabb.
We're back at the public question time with János Lázár, the government minister.
Ez élő bizonyítéka annak, hogy Magyarországon, Miskolcon, itt a sűrűjében igenis demokrácia van.
Orbán has been Prime Minister for 15 years. Yes. Do you want him to carry on being Prime Minister?
It's a difficult question. Look at the others who want to be Prime Minister. I have to say that he is our best opportunity for now.
After 3 long hours of voter outreach, it's finally our turn.
From Channel 4 News. Good evening. How are you?
A little bit difficult today.
You said
3
when you were
hours of
speaking
getting
to
yelled at. That's pretty good,
the people,
though.
that the other side are the ones who heckle and try and divide.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Orban always talks about stink bugs. He always finds scapegoats. Ukraine, the EU, gay people. Isn't it your side who always tries to scapegoat people, to blame them for problems?
De a közbeszéd, ezt talán Angliában is tapasztalja, a politikai beszéd az nagyon polarizált az egész világban. Amerikában is ez történt a tavalyi választások alkalmával, és Angliában is nagyon polarizált a közbeszéd. A politika az egész világban polarizált.
But in that polarization, given you have been in power for 15 years, and you talk about it everywhere, you must have some responsibility for how things are now, if there is a divide.
Igen, ez kétségtelen tény, de komoly felelőssége van egy kormánypártnak abban, hogy milyen a közhangulat az országban, Magyarországon. Ez megcáfolhatatlan. De egy nagyon erős választási kampány lesz, és nagyon erős beszédek lesznek Magyarországon a következő 10 hónapban.
A rare admission from Hungary's government that the road ahead will be tough.
There you go. Karen, it's the 2-year anniversary of my first post-aneurysm stent MRI, so I'm due for a brain MRI next month. I'm not too worried. Karen, sending you so much good healing. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry you went through that and you recovered. I mean, that's so beautiful that you've had a recovery. And I hope that you get good reports next month. Mount Elna just erupted. What? Etna. Oh, I thought it was Elna. I'm like, no, that's probably like I think that's the closet organizers, right? Elna, not Etna. Okay. Let's see. Jane, yes, they were cabins on a flatbed truck. Wait, what happened? I am proud stink bug. Yes, that was poor messaging. Neil, the most dangerous terrorist group on the planet. Who? Badger, who? Oh, Stephen Harper? Oh, no. How about those Trojan horse cabins with the remote roofs that opened to release drones? Really? Oh, I didn't hear about this. I know we have to hear about Ukraine. I haven't heard about everything. Oh, sending big love to Karen. Big love from the lounge. Big love from the lounge. Yeah. Big love from the lounge. Big love from the lounge. Let's see. What's this? Oh no, that's Thursday. Never mind.
A shake of the head, a heckle, and a man blasting the trumpet. He heralds questions.
ruining things. Inflatable tanks. Wait, now I've got to hear this. Hold on. Let me go to my playlist. All right, let me go back to the beginning. There's one more. Let's go to this. Hold on. This is Zelensky and Ruta. Let me see when they start. It's not too long. Let me see when they. Oh, here we go. Boop. Vilnius Summit. The Vilnius Summit. Here we go. This happened this morning. This is not live.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are starting the press conference of the Vilnius Summit. Allow me to introduce the participants. President of Lithuania, Gitanas Nausėda, President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Romania, Nicu Șordan, Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, and NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte. Let me note that at first, the leaders will deliver their statements, and afterwards, you will have the opportunity
Буде можливість задати
I will now
запитання.
invite the President of Lithuania to begin. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. The Vilnius Summit of the Bucharest 9 and Nordic countries has concluded. This year we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Bucharest 9. Over time, it has brought regions, countries closer together. And I am sincerely grateful to Poland and Romania for this initiative. Today's meeting, with the participation of our Nordic allies and Ukraine, highlights the growing pressure on NATO's eastern and northeast flanks and our collective efforts to address them. Given the full complexity of the present situation, I am particularly glad to welcome here in Vilnius the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. In the face of the Russian threat, we must unify our efforts across the High North, the Baltic Sea, and the Black Sea. Also today, during the first session, we discussed extensively the preparation for the upcoming NATO summit. Our meeting in The Hague will present a great opportunity to continue building a stronger and better prepared alliance along the lines set in Madrid, Vilnius, and Washington. At the Hague Summit, we expect a message of transatlantic unity, reaffirmed commitment to collective defense, and readiness to defend the allied territory. We also believe that allies will be ready to substantially increase defense investment. As we are moving towards reaching at least 5% of GDP on defense and defense-related investments, we expect the whole alliance to follow suit. Lithuania will be spending 4% of GDP on defense this year and more than 5% from the next year to 2030. Additional funds will be needed for a national heavy division, as well as for the German brigade's infrastructure, and for the host nation support to allied troops stationed in Lithuania. The Hague Summit must also send a clear message that NATO stands with Ukraine. We must show that NATO stands with Ukraine through continuous support to its armed forces and Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic aspirations. In the coming months, one crucial objective will be to substantially increase military support to Ukraine, to ensure deterrence on the ground and to prepare conditions for the future negotiations on peace. Ukraine's power must be significantly strengthened, and it now falls primarily on Europeans and Ukraine's closest neighbors and friends to make it happen. Ukraine also needs our investments in its defense industry. We must shift from reactive aid to solid military support, pre-planned deliveries of long-range artillery, advanced air defense systems, and drone capabilities. We'll still need progress on enhanced EU military support to Ukraine, with the whole goal to supply them with 2 million large caliber shells. In times like these, unity is most important. Together we are strong, and I am happy that we had very productive, frank conversation with our closest friends, and I hope it will be very helpful looking forward to the Hague Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now invite the President of Poland to continue.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by thanking my friend, President of Lithuania, Gitanas Nausėda, for organizing this year's Bucharest 9 summit in the wonderful city of Vilnius.
I did see that.
I'm also very pleased that NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, participated in our deliberations. Moreover, I'm glad to emphasize the involvement of representatives from the Nordic countries in our discussion. This is indeed an important step towards building an integrated northeastern NATO security space. The upcoming NATO summit in The Hague will take place in only 3 weeks, so this is an excellent moment to discuss our expectations ahead of this very important gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know too well that we are facing critical threats and challenges from Russia. In response, we have to make NATO stronger, but also fairer. Having in mind Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine and its aggressive attitudes towards the West, we must do everything to develop appropriate instruments that will deter the Kremlin's neo-imperial ambitions, especially here on the eastern flank. That is why our talks focused primarily on the urgent need to increase defense spending and on developing the production capabilities of national defense industries. I would like to recall, even before last year's NATO summit in Washington, I proposed to raise the defense spending by NATO members to the minimum level of 3% of their GDP. 3 months ago, I submitted to Secretary General Mark Rutte a request to raise this issue in The Hague. And today, I'm glad to see that we all agree on that and that our ambitions are even higher, up to 5% of GDP on defense. We hope that the allies will follow into our footsteps. Another key element of our discussions was strengthening the transatlantic relations and the strategic alliance with the USA. Among our partners in the region, there is a widespread understanding that Europe must take greater responsibility for its own security. But it is critically important to do it not by following mirages of European autonomy, but in close cooperation with the United States. We also had an opportunity to exchange information with President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. During our conversation, we addressed very important issues regarding further support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia, continuing our assistance to Ukraine in various domains, military, political, and humanitarian, is critical to security in Europe and is Ukraine's integrations with Europe and Euro-Atlantic structures, including NATO. Ladies and gentlemen, for me, today's meeting had a special significance, and it was my last opportunity to speak at this forum as President of the Republic of Poland.
Oh! What the fuck?
I I have to emphasize
Oh my God.
that co-creating and later co-developing this format has been one of the most important and valuable aspects of my presidency. Over the past 10 years, the B9 has been an effective tool strengthening the voice of the eastern flank, countries within NATO, and helping us shape the alliance's deterrence and defense policy. I'm convinced that even after my term as President of Poland, Bucharest 9 will remain the best platform for coordinating security positions of our countries, allowing us to better manage the threats and challenges we face. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I don't think Lori
Mr.
Flynn
President
is a
Zelensky,
Portuguese
please
immigrant.
deliver your statement.
Thank you so much. Gitanas.
Wait, I'll tell you before Volodymyr. So the Polish guy was like, well, I lost my election last night, so I'm not going to be here to when you guys actually solve this. And then it was like he was waiting for acknowledgement or something. And so everyone's like, you lost? Oh, okay. It was just not, international stuff. There you go. All right, let's listen to Volodymyr. Please clap for me losing. Wait, what?
Mr. President,
it just didn't
it's
flow
important
very
to be
well.
here in Vilnius today. Dear friends, partners, we all want the same thing, to stop the Russian war, to bring real peace and to make security last. That's what we are all working for. First, I informed our partners about the situation at the front. We also talked about our operation inside Russia, which has seriously weakened their military. Operation Spiderweb showed that modern war really looks like.
Yes,
and
this is from this morning.
Why it's so
this is just
important
this morning.
to stay ahead with technology. All our joint investments in drone production, all our shared battlefield experience, everything we are doing together with our partners, it's making Europe stronger. Today, we agreed with our partners on several joint decisions that will strengthen our defense even more. I thank everyone for your willingness to help. There will be new packages, there will be new investments in Ukraine's weapon production, especially drones. Ukraine can produce much more, and we see partner investments as a way to give those partners priority access to restock their arsenals after this war. Second,
Ooh,
I
what's
thank
this?
you
I got a
all for
present?
our shared view of
I
what
got a present?
diplomacy needs in order to succeed. Today, we see the situation clearly. If Russia turns the Istanbul meeting into an empty talk, there must be a new level of pressure, new sanctions, and not just from Europe. We need to work on joint sanctions at the G7 level, including with the United States and with everyone in the world who wants peace. It's very, very
is the
important
G7
that
thing?
each of our partners supports this exact approach. Sanctions against Russia are necessary. It's important to seriously limit Russia's oil trade and its use of tankers. Sanctions, including secondary ones, tariffs and price caps, can work and push Russia toward peace. Without pressure, Putin will just keep playing games with everyone who wants this war to end. Talks in Istanbul just ended, and I'm waiting for the Minister Umer's full report. They exchanged documents through the Turkish side, and we are preparing a new release of prisoners of the war. Third, the upcoming NATO summit can strengthen Europe's security, or if it sends the wrong signal, it will only encourage Putin. The key to lasting peace is clear. The aggressor must not receive any reward for war. Putin must get nothing that would justify his aggression. Any reward would only show him
I know,
that
it's
war
in
pays
Canada.
off.
The G7's in Canada. That's
Geopolitical
why
gains
India
are just as important
is not going to attend.
to Russia as money or territory. If Putin is allowed to decide who joins NATO, where NATO infrastructure can or can't be, then Russia's appetite for war will only grow. Our shared goal is the opposite, to completely end Russia's hunger for aggression. Ukraine is doing its part, and I am grateful to all partners who are doing theirs.
Well, I think it's because there was an Indian assassin who tried to assassinate an expat, right, on Canadian soil. Am I wrong about that?
And the right time to send a clear message. Russia will not get anything from this war. Strong decisions are needed. Decisions
Modi's a
for
dick.
Europe, not
He should
for
stay
Putin.
home.
We all need to work together to make this really happen, and it's doable. Thank you, everyone who helped us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Zelensky.
I mean, I'm not
President
in
of
for
Romania,
war.
the
That's
floor
like
is
not.
yours
But
now.
he's trying to protect his
For me,
country,
it's the
and
first
I appreciate that.
opportunity to participate as a president, and I've been.
Wait, I missed that guy.
I'm very
Hold on.
honored to be here, and I have to thank also to
For aggression. Ukraine is doing its part, and I am grateful
Sorry, I have to go back.
all partners who are doing theirs. And we must act as one united Euro-Atlantic community. The NATO summit in June is the right place and the right time to send a clear
that's in 3
message. Russia will not get anything from this
IDU,
war.
that's right.
Strong
Thank you.
decisions are needed. Decisions for Europe,
Yeah,
not
a Canadian
for Putin.
citizen.
We all need to work together to make this really happen, and it's doable. Thank you, everyone who helped us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Zelensky. President of Romania, the floor
Romania.
is yours now.
For me, it's the first opportunity to participate as a president. And,
Oh, this is the new
I've been-
president of Romania. This
I've
guy
been
really
very
beat
honored
the
to be
odds.
here, and I have to thank also to our host, very nice organization. So Bucharest 9 started 10 years ago. It was just after Russia attacked Crimea, and at that moment it was a potential threat of Russia against European nations. And it was a proposal in order that the countries on the eastern border or eastern flank of NATO have a common voice. Now that potential threat became real, we have a war in Ukraine for more than 3 years, and all our countries faced a set of hybrid actions. So it's reality, and for us, members of Bucharest 9, and also for our Nordic allies, we have the same concerns. As you know, most part of discussion were in order to prepare the Hague Summit, which
makes
will
sense,
be
Jane.
in three weeks from now. And I'm very
Both
pleased
things
that
can be true. Modi's
most
a
of our
dick.
participants agreed
He didn't
on
know.
very important things, like we need a stronger NATO, we need a stronger transatlantic connection. We have to not only to increase our expenses in defense, but also being able to produce military
no doubt.
equipment in order
Modi's a
to
dick.
protect ourselves. And also that, as I said, the threat is not only classical military, but it's we have very important hybrid actions against our countries.
You had to throw out your first election results because
I'm
of
also
them.
very pleased that all the participants agreed that we have to continue to support Ukraine. As a Romanian interest, I emphasize that we have a long-term concern on the security in the whole Black Sea area, including Republic of Moldova. And I thank to our partner that they continue to support the Republic of Moldova in his European integration process. And finally, I proposed, I'm very pleased that
That's interesting, Neil.
Everybody agreed that the next summit to be organized in Bucharest next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Prime Minister, it's time for your statement.
Thank you, and dear Gitanas, thank you for hosting us today, and thank you
I
for
love this
inviting the
woman.
Nordic countries to join
She
you here
is
today in Vilnius.
hot.
Today's meeting has been about one thing and one thing only: the security of our countries and the security of our continent, deterrence and defense. The threat from Russia against all of us is real, and it is serious. Russia is continuing the war in Ukraine. Putin is talking about peace during the day and bombing at night. We see a more aggressive Russia approach in the Baltic Sea region. And it is assessed by the Danish Defense Intelligence Service that Russia sees itself in conflict with the West and is preparing for war against NATO. It is therefore crucial that we take bold and necessary decisions at the NATO summit in The Hague in only 3 weeks from now. In my mind, and what we have discussed today, there's only one way forward. We need to invest massively in our collective security, all of us, and we need to do it fast. NATO is by far the strongest military alliance in history. And so our starting point must be to focus on what is needed to continue to be so, to secure deterrence and our ability to defend ourselves. But I have to say that Russia is not deterred merely by us agreeing on a new defense spending target. We need to deliver actual capabilities, and we need to do it fast. We must make sure that NATO always has the full range of capability necessary to deter and to defend against any threat against our countries. And at the same time, we need to continue our strong and steadfast support for Ukraine's brave fight for freedom. Let me be very frank, we have to donate what is needed on the battlefield. We have to provide more financing for arms production directly going into Ukraine. We already have a mechanism that works. And I think we have to implement stronger sanctions against Russia. It goes for the Shadow Fleet. Recently, we listed almost 200 additional vessels from the Russian Shadow Fleet, but more have to come against the Shadow Fleet, against Russian banks, financial sector. And I think we have to end any remaining dependency on Russian energy, including oil, gas, and nuclear energy. And to add one more thing, lower the oil cap. I think all that on the table would put the necessary pressure on Russia to get to the table and actually negotiate on peace. And why is that? Because Ukraine deserves peace. But the peace must be comprehensive, it must be just, and it must be lasting. And it has to respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. I'm sorry to say, I think until now we haven't seen any signs that Russia is willing to actually commit to any of that. So our key task at the moment has to be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible situation and position on the battlefield and on or at the negotiation table. Europe, of course, needs a strong and an independent Ukraine. I believe that once again the coming month will be paramount, and we haven't got much time, and therefore we need commitment to take the right decisions on behalf of all Europeans now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Secretary General, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President.
Here you go, Jane.
Thank you for hosting.
Wait. You know, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow this morning, but Hold on. Hold on. We need Mark's entrance music. Hold on. Oops. I don't know what I'm. Where am I? Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. What? Oh, that's not it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Mark Rutte, everybody. Yeah. And now it's time for Jane's favorite, the leader of a free Europe. I love his suit. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I'd like to see it on my floor. Ew. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark. That was gross. I didn't mean to be disgusting. Actually, get it off my floor. Is that the music that someone wanted me to play? It was just for the joke. It was for the bit. It was for the bit. It actually is a really nice suit. Okay, here we go. I don't know. I wondered if that was the music that we were wondering. Okay. Yep.
The B9 Nordic Summit here in Vilnius. It is a pleasure, always a pleasure to be back here in Lithuania. Lithuania is a staunch ally and continues to lead by example. You invest more than 4% of GDP in defense this year, and I welcome your plans to spend between 5 and 6% starting from next year. I think this sends an incredibly powerful message of commitment
We're in a new
to
arms
our
race, everybody.
collective defense. And it also sets an example for our other allies. On this stage and in our meetings today, it is clear that the commitment to collective defense is strong. We have had a productive day of meetings as we continue to prepare for the summit in The Hague. We are facing the most dangerous security environment in decades. Russia's war of aggression continues, terrorist threats persist. We are not at war, but we are not at peace either. So we must continue to strengthen our deterrence and defense. And that means pivoting towards a full war-fighting readiness, providing significantly more forces that are well-trained, well-equipped, and supported with logistics, sustainment, and ammunition. We continue to count on the B9 and our Nordic allies to play a key role in these important efforts. At the The Hague Summit, I expect allies to demonstrate their enduring commitment to our collective defense by deciding to boost defense industrial production and increase defense investment. And this is purely, simply essential to our security. And so is delivering on the new ambitious capability targets that allies are expected to agree later this week when the defense ministers will meet here in Brussels. Not here in Brussels, but in Brussels. Today, we also discussed Ukraine, a key priority for the summit in The Hague. Dear Volodymyr, we continue to support Ukraine. We know that a strong, sovereign Ukraine is essential for Euro-Atlantic security. So we have about 3 weeks left until the NATO summit in The Hague. And I look forward to working with all allies to ensure we deliver for our 1 billion people. Dear Gitanas, thank you again for your hospitality, your leadership, and your unwavering commitment to our alliance.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. Dear journalists, we only have time for one question, which can be addressed to all the leaders, or some of them. Please indicate that. Martina, go ahead, please.
Hello, Martina Pichelita, news agency ELTA. I have a question to all of you. So with the announcement that America will review its true presence in Europe, there has been some concern about a reduction in United States capabilities on NATO's eastern flank. So in this context, and given the fact that the current administration of the United States has reduced America's focus on Europe, what can be expected at the upcoming summit in Hague? Thank you.
I think we can do in the same order, like you made your statement.
I will start. You know, I don't want to base my assumptions on the rumors. I would trust official information about the possible reduction of United States presence in Europe. So far, we have 1,000 US soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder with the soldiers of Germany, Norway, and other EFP countries. And we are ready to provide all necessary conditions even to increase this number, if there would be political will from the new American administration. So far, we are working on a broad range of activities, and I would like to remind you, last week, 100 meters from here, in the Cathedral Square, the Chancellor Friedrich Merz inaugurated the German brigade. Full-scale brigade will be deployed in Lithuania until 2027, and we are progressing on the all necessary infrastructure for German soldiers here, and those are my assumptions right now. So we are highly interested that United States focus on Europe remains, because this is a very important element of our collective security, and I hope that the Hague Summit will bring very positive news to this field. Thank you.
Mr. President Duda, what would be your answer to the question?
I can only answer that I had a few opportunities to talk with President Trump during last 6-7 months. I talked also with his secretaries, especially with Secretary Hexet. And I have no information about any ideas of withdrawing American military forces, U.S. Army forces from our part of Europe, from eastern flank. So
that's because they don't say it.
President Zelensky, can you
they
please
just
give
do
your
it.
views, or you can just...
He refers to me now. No, but then maybe we should...
About
can
NATO,
switch
it's important to hear from you.
Okay, no, but let me be very straightforward here. Since January, I get 2 questions from European allies. Question 1 is the US still committed to NATO? The answer is yes. Committed to NATO, committed to Article 5, and this has been many times repeated by President Trump in many meetings. So my only suggestion to many European colleagues is put on your television so that you can hear him say this. Don't ask me, he's very clear about this. But there is an expectation. The expectation is that we are going to spend more, because we need to spend more for our defense, but also it is because it is fair to equalize our spending with the spending the US is doing currently. Second question, but then they will stay, Mark, but they might withdraw their troops all of a sudden. And exactly as President Duda is saying, there's absolutely no indication of this. What we know is that the US, next to Europe, of course, also has to take care of the Middle East, has to take care of the Indo-Pacific, and it is only logical that over time, as we are building up, that the US will pivot somewhat more towards Asia. But I am absolutely convinced that also in the long term, there will be a very strong conventional US presence in Europe, next to the nuclear presence, the nuclear umbrella, our ultimate guarantor of our freedom. There will be a very strong conventional presence of the US in Europe. There's no doubt about it. Basically referring back to what the 2 other speakers have been saying.
Thank you. President Zelensky?
I agree with Mark.
Good answer. President of Romania, please.
Yes, so first of all, the United States presence in the eastern flank of NATO is extremely important for us, for all of us. So as I said, we have to strengthen the transatlantic connection.
I think they're hoping for midterms.
And on this regard, it's very, very important, our commitment on 3.5 plus 1.5. And I hope that we will take that decision in Hague.
Thank you. Madam Prime Minister,
Fine.
you have nothing to add. All right, so I would like to thank all the leaders. I would like to thank all the journalists. Our press conference is over. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Oh. Well, I guess that's what leadership is. I think. Let me go over here. Where are you? Yeah, back to the campfire. I think it is one I mixed on a previous project or a different. Oh, yes, please do. I'm trying to think of which one, if I might have heard the song you're talking about. Who is the woman at the far left? She's the president of Norway, right? Is she Norway? I can't remember. I feel like she's, what's that flag? That, or is she Switzerland? I don't even know. I don't even know. Yeah. Yeah, so the G7 is coming up in Canada June 15th. And then it appears around the same time will be the meeting of NATO in The Hague. I wonder if they're just like one after the other or vice versa. That'd be interesting. Wow, what a morning. So those were the clips I had lined up for us, but I also, oh boy, I've got some stuff in my email. Hold on, I need to pick up my email. Pick up the email. Man, I have so much stuff. So
No, she did not.
Ah, stop it. Hold on. That's a little clip I wanted to play. Hold on just a minute. Yeah, that, oh, we got a couple things. Just hang in there. Hang in there, everybody. Don't go away from me. Well, I'm not going to overwhelm you, but do 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 do. What is it? Oh yeah, I kind of want to read that too. Okay, I'm gonna slow myself down here because there's only so much we can do. Okay. Have I a share of the ABCs of anarchy? Have I shared the ABCs of anarchy? I don't know. I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar. That doesn't really sound familiar. Thanks, Jane. There are some copyright issues. Oh, a Slavic nation. Maybe she's. I think I thought it was Norway. Oh, the Bucharest 9. Yeah. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. Yeah. So this happened too. Okay, this happened apparently. Federal Department of Homeland Security police handcuffed Democratic Rep. Nadler's congressional staffer. This was reporting from WNYC yesterday. I didn't get the whole situation. I know there was some kerfuffle, but I just want to make sure we're exposing all of the illegal actions by this administration. So here we go. It's a little loud.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened.
Fuck.
Okay?
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you 550.
Hey.
That's what I'm going to do.
Who got you?
No.
I got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to.
You're okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something. We have
Bullshit.
The right to check. I'm giving you. I'm not resisting. Stop resisting.
I don't need a warrant?
Harboring rioters in the office.
What?
So there's not a problem. Let's walk inside. Let's walk through.
For what?
Let me see what's in here. Let's go. Come on.
Oh my God. Okay, this country needs to fucking. Sorry, have that lined up. We need to be like really sorry for the trigger or the content. No content warning on that. So I want to make sure. That's yesterday. He said, I don't need a warrant. That is not true. God, just every time I see things like this, I think about the people who are so God adamant that they want to own the libs. No, those ones have uniforms. Well, or I guess they're just like, they say Department of Homeland Security. My God. It's just the stupidity of thinking that any of this is normal, that any of this is okay, that somehow it's more important this happen than you lose an election. Because it doesn't end with just random people. It ends with everybody. And the freedom that people fought so hard for, and Chud seemed to think is so goddamn, not good. They want to take everyone's freedom. They're not going to stop because you have a MAGA hat. You'll piss the wrong person off. Don't worry. I didn't see the restaurant raid. I try not to watch those, unless they come naturally into my feed. I don't seek them, but I did miss that. But every scene just guts me. It just guts me with. And I have always viewed this country as inherently unjust, because if you're unjust to one segment of the population, you are unjust to all. I mean, there's no argument about that. But at the same, I'm sure it was butterflies. I just didn't happen to see it. Ugh, those things are just so hard. But we can't turn away. We can't not realize that every day, you go to wash your car, but then also this is happening. And I just imagine the fear. I just imagine the fear of people who don't know if something like that is going to happen to them. Living with that fear in and of itself is torture. And no one should have to live like that, no matter who you are. I mean, that is the ultimate of freedom, is that you don't get that. I don't know. No warrant. And I don't need a warrant? What the fuck does that mean? Yeah, you do. You fucking idiot. Of course you do. Of course you need a warrant. Give me a break. Oh my God. This is the country of my very young childhood in the 60s. That's what this is. I mean, for the little progress that was made, we ramped all the way back to a time that I don't even recognize. Oh, thank you. No. Oh, okay. Anarchy poem. It was confusing. Play that. Hold on. But not what you thought you remembered. Oh, okay. Let me see if it plays through. It should, right?
Everybody welcome. Everybody welcome.
I want to tell you about anarchism.
Conclusion? Guess what?
I want to tell you about anarchism.
Conclusion?
Because I think that it is well that you should know all
Whatever
about
people
it.
want is true, even if it
It's
isn't.
your responsibility now to see that I get what I want.
Conclusion?
I want to tell you about anarchism.
Conclusion?
There's our Discord.
You've heard about it is wrong. Oh, got it?
They say, how can they make a statement? It's true even if it isn't.
Wrong.
Because they would come back to you and say, no. Who can say it isn't? Who can say it isn't?
I want to tell you about anarchism because I believe that anarchism is the fight.
You should do this. We should do a video. Ah, I see. Okay. That's great. Hi, Kim. Hi, Anita.
Anarchy. Ever reviled, accursed, ne'er understood, thou art the grisly terror of our age. Wreck of all order, cry the multitude art thou, and war and murder's endless rage. Oh, let them cry. To them that ne'er have striven the truth that lies behind a word to find, to them the word's right meaning was not given. They shall continue blind among the blind. But thou, O word, so clear, so strong, so pure, thou sayest all which I for gold have taken. I give thee to the future, thine secure, when each at least unto himself shall waken. Comes it in sunshine, in the tempest's thrill? I cannot tell, but it the earth shall see. I am an anarchist, wherefore I will not rule, and also ruled I will not be. John Henry McKay.
That is a great mashup. And then this ignorance. All right, you guys have to go to our though here she's quoting a poem. That was really good. And maybe trying to figure out how to share. Let's see. Where are my cigarettes, David, in the back of the TV set? Oh, Jay Rance, Negative Land. Aw. I think I'm going to keep a picture of my birth certificate and passport on a phone. Original passport is deaf accessible in carry purse, but I'm afraid to carry. I know. That's it, Kim. Stay safe out there. I mean, I understand. And I can't imagine what it must be like to live with that fear. And that is just unacceptable. And this is happening, and it happens on a daily basis. And this was, a congressional staffer and whatever. And I'm sure, she will be, okay. And she's got people around her to help and advocate. But there are many people who don't have anyone around to advocate for them as this is being kind of pummeled down, right? We don't see all the raids. And so I am in favor of us continuing to be sensitized, right? So, yeah. Every time I hear, oh, you guys are so adorable. All right. I want to play this. Is that okay? Okay. Carla. Cat Jip! Their uniform said Department of Homeland Security. I love it, Jay. I love it. Carla!
Destruction and violence. How is the ordinary man to know that the most violent element in society is ignorance? That its power of destruction is the very thing anarchism is combating. Nor is he aware that anarchism, whose roots, as it were, are part of nature's forces, destroys not healthful tissue, but parasitic growth that feed on the life's essence of society. It is merely clearing the soil from weeds and sagebrush, that it may eventually bear healthy fruit.
What? 42? What? A bonus to be a SS agent? The Gestapo?
Someone has said that it requires less mental effort to condemn than to think. The widespread mental indolence so prevalent in society proves this to be only too true. Rather than to go to the bottom of any given idea, to examine into its origin and meaning, most people will either condemn it altogether
I mean, this
or
is
rely on
oomph.
some
This is
superficial
fantastic.
or prejudicial definition of non-essentials. Anarchism urges man to
Yes.
think, to investigate, to analyze every proposition, but that the brain
the cat
capacity
behind
of the
him.
average reader be not taxed too much. I also shall begin with a definition and then elaborate on the latter.
Everything about it is creation. That's it.
Anarchism.
Yes, we honor the original artists. Art is everywhere.
The philosophy of a new social order based on liberty unrestricted by man-made law. The theory that all forms of government rest on violence and are therefore wrong and harmful as well as unnecessary.
Well done. Well done, sir. The TV show about the motorcycle gang? Sons of Anarchy? Oh. You didn't find it anarchy-ish? Take it easy, dude. But take it! I love our Discord. You all have to join this Discord. This is the best Discord on the Discord planet. Damn it, Janet. It's the best Discord everywhere. That's great. If you're in our Discord, you too could download those clips. Yes, you could. If you were in our Discord, you could download those clips for your very selves and spread the art. Share the art. It's my only Discord. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I've been in a couple of shitty Discords. Can I play that clip with sound? Wait, which one? Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Hold on. Hold on. What? Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Here's this clip with sound. Hold on. Let me move this over here, and I can full screen. Full screen it, baby. Okay, here we go. Is it loud? No.
You know how you can tell the difference between a masked cop and a vigilante? No. Me neither.
Oh. Oh. Ouch. Jumped out of The Watchmen at me last night. Oh, that's a good movie. I like The Watchmen. That was a good movie. I like that movie. I like it a lot. Yeah, good thing for us. We don't need any others. I just find that there's so much good information on our Discord, and people are just like basically adults. Well, you know, we're not plotting our revenge in the Discord. You know, it's like there's no real bullshit. I mean, there's always potential for bullshit. You know, the more people get involved, but no, so far so good. We're pretty good. I mean, you know, as Discords go. Maybe too many cat gifs. I don't know. You did not interrupt. The sexy Europeans were done. So gratefully, don't worry about it. We wouldn't let anyone interrupt the sexy Europeans. Are you kidding me? Yeah, just stay away from my channel. Oh, that's right. There's only drama in Neil's accidental channel. It's just drama, drama, drama. Yeah, I appreciate some sexy Europeans. Hell yeah. I like a little eye candy on a Monday morning. But unfortunately, you're still not away from me because I have basically 3 things I'd really like to read to you, if you would allow me to. So if you would allow me to be so bold. Wah! Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, I'm going to read you from Joyce Vance's Substack, and oops, there it is. Ah, there she is. Because this caught my eye when I was doom scrolling through Blue Sky last night, as one is wont to do when one is bored. I don't know, where's that? Ah, there we go. All right, so I wanted to read this because this kind of jumped out at me. Someone warned me about you, Neil. I know, Neil's just drama. He's just here for the lols, as the kids would say. All right, here we go. This is Joyce Vance's Substack from yesterday. Here we go. The week ahead. Yeah, evil. It's June 1st, and that means we're starting the last month, more or less, of this Supreme Court term. The cases the court has had briefing on and heard oral argument in all will be decided by the end of this month, although some years it spills over into the first week of July. We never know which cases are coming next. The court doesn't decide them in the order they hear them argued, but usually the biggest, most impactful cases aren't decided until the end. This week, for the week ahead, I've got a scorecard with some of the most important, still undecided cases for this term on it. The goal is to give you some background to refer to, so when you hear the court has announced a decision in a certain case, you'll be prepared to understand its significance. Here they are, in order of when they were argued, although that's likely to have little to nothing to do with when we will see the opinions. U.S. v. Scrimetti. The issue with this case is whether states can ban gender-affirming care for trans youth in the context of a 2023 Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care like puberty blockers and hormone therapy for transgender patients who are minors. The Biden administration intervened in the case and was a party along with 3 transgender teens and their parents. That changed with the change in administrations. The Trump Justice Department, as you would expect, is on the other side of the case. A key issue in the case is whether denying treatment to trans youth that is available to their gender-conforming peers violates the Constitution by denying them equal protection under the law. A federal district court judge held that it did, but the Court of Appeals reversed. About 25 other Republican-dominated states have similar laws. The result in this case will apply beyond Tennessee. At oral argument, the conservative justices seemed disinclined to accept the argument that this law is a form of sex discrimination, even though cisgender kids will be able to access treatment that transgender people won't be able to receive if these laws stand. But the votes seem to be in place to permit Tennessee and other states to keep their restrictive laws in place. Free Speech Coalition v. Paxton. This case involves a 2023 Texas law that is supposed to keep minors from accessing pornography online. Where's Max Flower? This is her Project 2025 porn ban. It requires websites to verify a person's age before they are admitted to the site, but an industry group that calls itself the Free Speech Coalition sued, claiming the law violates the rights of adults who want to access the content, an impermissible burden on free speech. The ACLU is on their side in the case. There was at least some indication in oral argument that the justices are aware we no longer live in a world of dial-up internet connections and want to revisit the standards that are used to protect kids. The technical legal issue is whether a court of appeals used the wrong legal standard to decide the case. Instead of using the highest standard of review and requiring the Texas law to pass strict scrutiny before it could burden the adult's right to have access to protected speech, they only required that there be a rational basis connecting the law to its intent to protect minors. A 2020 state law that isn't really, though certainly related. I mean, no, it's not, but I don't know. I think it's one, it just, you're right. Ames v. Ohio Department of Youth Services. The court's decision in this case could potentially signal a sea change in reverse discrimination employment litigation. The case involves a straight woman who claims she faced, quote, reverse discrimination on the job because she wasn't gay, leading her to be passed over for promotion opportunities. The issue is whether a plaintiff who is a member of a majority group has to show that her employer is the unusual one who discriminated against the majority before bringing a case under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. If she wins, this sort of reverse discrimination case could become easier to bring. The plaintiff lost out on a promotion to a lesbian woman. She was subsequently demoted, and the position she was removed from was given to a gay man. All of this started 13 years into her employment after a new boss, who was a gay woman, became her supervisor. There was speculation following oral argument that the plaintiff might win unanimously. Justice Sotomayor seemed to say that she thought the plaintiff might have a valid claim, noting that based on the record before the court, there was something suspicious, quote unquote, about what happened. The consensus among the justices seemed to be that everyone had to be treated equally. That's an interesting case. Smith & Wesson brands v. Estados Unidos Mexicanos. There are two technical legal issues in this case, but together they add up to an answer to the question of whether Mexico can sue U.S. gun makers for what it has long maintained is their responsibility for the epidemic of gun violence within its borders. Mexico argues that a number of U.S. gun makers made it possible for traffickers to illegally purchase firearms in the U.S., only for them to be provided to Mexican drug cartels. The court will decide whether the production and sale of firearms in the United States is the proximate cause of alleged injuries to the Mexican government stemming from violence committed by drug cartels in Mexico, and two, whether the production and sale of firearms in the United States amounts to, quote, aiding and abetting illegal firearms trafficking because firearms companies allegedly know that some of their products are unlawfully trafficked. If the court decides in Mexico's favor, its lawsuit against U.S. gun manufacturers will move forward. Interesting. Louisiana v. Calais. This is the Louisiana redistricting case. The issues involve around whether a Louisiana congressional district created to comply with the Voting Rights Act resulted in an unconstitutional gerrymander that discriminates based on race. The Calais plaintiffs are a group of, quote, non-African Americans who say the redistricted map violates the Constitution because it takes race into account in violation of the 14th Amendment. Although the court may be inclined to do away with the Voting Rights Act at some point, this case is reminiscent of a 2023 gerrymandering case out of Alabama, where a 5-4 majority that included Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Kavanaugh, I like beer, upheld the Voting Rights Act and forced Alabama to comply with it, rejecting maps drawn by the state legislature that made it all but impossible for black citizens to elect candidates of their choice to Congress. This case might have a similar outcome. It has similarly complicated facts and an up and down history on appeal. It comes down to whether Louisiana, whose population is about 1/3 black, will have a second black opportunity district. The technical issues involve whether a 3-judge district court in this case was mistaken when it ruled that race predominated in the Louisiana legislature's decision on maps, whether it erred in finding those decisions couldn't pass the strict scrutiny test and a set of preconditions known as the Gingles factors, and whether the case is the sort of non-justiciable, this is the word I hate the most, matter that should be resolved through the political process, not decided in the courts. Mahmoud v. Taylor. The issue here is whether religious parents' rights are violated when a school board doesn't give them the ability to opt out from having LGBTQ-themed books available to their children in elementary school. The issue is presented as whether public schools burden parents' religious exercise when they compel elementary school children to participate in instruction on gender and sexuality against their parents' religious convictions and without notice or opportunity to opt out. At oral argument, the court's conservative majority seemed sympathetic toward the parents. Trump v. Casa Inc. consolidated with Trump v. Washington and Trump v. New Jersey. This is the birthright citizenship case that was argued only earlier this month. We discussed it and she has a link. The issue isn't whether Trump can end birthright citizenship. Rather, it's whether the Supreme Court should stay the district court's preliminary injunctions except as to the individual plaintiffs and the identified members of the organizational plaintiffs or states while the litigation works its way through the courts. It's hard to believe that just over a year ago I sat outside across the street from the U.S. Supreme Court building in the Senate swamp, listening to the oral argument and preparing comment on it in real time. Aw, there she is. TBT. At the time I wrote, this case is all about Donald Trump and whether he can be prosecuted for the most serious of his crimes against the American people, trying to hold on to power after losing the 2020 election. It's also about the legacy of the Roberts Court and whether history will view the already unpopular justices as the court that gave away democracy. Overall, there are more than 30 cases remaining on the court's dockets. There are also a number of procedural and other issues pending in cases that haven't been fully briefed for a decision on the merits this term. This is the so-called shadow docket, where litigants ask the courts to make decisions in cases characterized as emergencies. Cases involving deportations and doggy are among them. And also the wild card, a number of cases still percolating through the lower courts where the issues aren't yet ripe enough to be before the Supreme Court, but could become so in the next few months, at least enough to merit a trip to the shadow docket and interfere with the Supreme Court summer break. The biggest question that remains for me is whether this court will continue down the path it set itself upon last term or will tell Trump no in a meaningful way. Welcome to the new week. Whoop, whoop. Thanks, Joyce. I sure appreciate it. Gross. Yuck. Let me see. Let me come back to chat for a sec. In Louisiana, the state with the highest concentration of black. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about those stats. It goes Mississippi, Louisiana, and Maryland. Oh, okay. Thanks, Karen. Interesting. That's still, yeah. Where's Gal? I don't know. Everybody's out and about. Back from spring break, I guess. I don't know. I guess spring break is different for everybody, right? Is that what it is? I feel like that's the way it is now. Anybody doing anything fun? I answer my own questions. You're like my kid. My kid does that too. She answers her own questions. I always just like she'll ask a question and I'll just wait because inevitably she'll be like, "Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah." I don't even have to work. I don't even have to work for it. Oh my god. Okay. I wanted to read you this. I have 2 more things I'd like to read to you. Read to me. Spring break in June. Oh. Well, yeah, is it? Oh, that's right. It's June. I don't know. I don't know what month it is. What do I know? Feels like spring. Okay, never mind. Shut up. Halloween's just around the corner. Okay, bye, Jay. Love you. If I don't get back in time, all right. You have a great day. I'm gonna be wrapping probably after these articles. I'm gonna do some gardening. Oh, that's so nice, Jane. Oh, too cold? Oh my gosh, it was hot. It's hot here right now. It's getting hot in here. All right. Deny non-essential. Okay, great. All right. This one also caught my eye. This was from oh, it's been updated. Okay. Tucson neighbors, ICE agents posed as utility workers. Speaking of examples of horrible behavior that we need to continually remind the public exist. Boop. Let's see. Yeah, have fun, you guys. I love it. Be out. I'm going to go outside too, I think, after this. All right. An undocumented man from Honduras. This is from the Tucson.com, Arizona paper. An undocumented man from Honduras who has lived on Tucson's south side for more than a decade narrowly avoided being picked up by immigration agents who initially claimed to be utility workers, according to neighbors who witnessed the apparent immigration operation. While watering flowers in her front yard Wednesday morning, Christine Carino was approached by two men claiming to be from Tucson Electric Power, she said. One said they were looking for a neighbor of hers. He said, "We're trying to find somebody that wanted a free estimate," said Carino, 37, a mother of three and longtime resident of the close-knit neighborhood near South 6th Avenue and Ajo Way. Carino recalled TEP workers had been in the area recently, but the two men weren't in uniform as TEP requires. One had a bright reflective shirt on and the other a black t-shirt. Their questions about the undocumented neighbor made Carino suspect that the men were with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, she said, speaking to the Arizona Daily Star at her home on Thursday. As one of the men moved toward her neighbor's yard, Carino said she noticed the other wearing a badge under his shirt. When she asked if he was from HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, ICE's investigative arm, he just smiled. So I took off running across the street to warn her neighbor, Carino said. Carino filmed her interaction with the two men while they were inside the yard of her neighbor's home after the undocumented man's stepson let them inside the front gate, believing they were TEP workers, she said. The young man and his stepfather declined to speak with the Star. Well, you're a hero, ma'am. That's what I want to say to you, Ms. Carino. You're an absolute hero. Carino said she intervened just before the undocumented man who was inside was about to let the suspected agents into his home, which would have made the man vulnerable to arrest. They're lying. They're not in uniform, Carino says in the video, which she shared with the Star and which KGUN 9 first reported. Don't let them in. They don't have a warrant. Immigration agents can't enter a private space such as a home without consent unless they have a judicial warrant signed by a judge. ICE agents usually have only an administrative warrant, which doesn't carry the same authority, or no warrant, advocates say. Speaking outside the undocumented man's front door, the suspected agents then said the man had missed an immigration court date, which the man denied, saying he attends all of his scheduled court dates, Carino said. An ICE spokeswoman declined to comment on the allegations of agents impersonating TEP workers, saying it's an ongoing investigation in an email response to the Star's questions. The spokeswoman, Yasmin Pitts O'Keefe, told the Star twice via email that if she were in the reporter's position, I'd be very careful with the TEP storyline. What? What? Yasmin? Yasmin? What? What is going on here? Who the fuck acts like that? Like this is some kind of fucking gangster movie. Who the fuck are you? Where are you? I can't tell where she is. What? I just did the record scratch sound. I did. Was it bad? Was it too loud? It's kind of loud in my ear, but hopefully it didn't shock anybody. What? I'd be very careful with the TEP storyline. Lady. Is this her? No, it's really funny. There's some people like there's like 7 different pictures when I pull up. Sorry, I'm distracted. Oh, I have her email. Yay! Okay, I'm sorry. I fell down a rabbit hole. I'm back now. Learn where that button is. It's a good sound. Okay, good. I play that once in a while. That's not new. Right down. What are you saying? All right. All TEP employees wear uniforms displaying the TEP logo, and all of their vehicles are marked to avoid concerns about impersonation, TEP spokeswoman Rhonda Bodefield said in an email. Carino said the incident will make TEP customers scared to let utility workers into their homes. I'm telling you, this is like completely yeah, why be careful? Hi Grandma. Oh my god, my love. So good to see you. I hope you are well. Yeah, why be careful? Is my question. And my thoughts are also, what kind of dangers are the electric company employees facing now because of these assholes? That's a really good point. That's another unintended consequence of a dictatorial administration. I'm glad to hear you're well, dear. I'm glad to hear it. That should be considered a crime, impersonating a company to try and remove somebody from a home, she said. If he had a warrant, the situation would have been different. Do it the right way. Well, they can't do it the right way, of course, because all of this is not legal. They're not legal. All right. Fourth Amendment protections. The apparent immigration operation on Wednesday appeared to use the type of deceptive tactics that were the subject of an ACLU lawsuit filed in California in 2020, a civil rights attorney said Friday. Immigration agents misrepresenting their identity or purpose is, quote, unfortunately a tactic we've seen employed in Southern California and across the United States, said Stephanie Padilla, staff attorney at the ACLU Foundation of Southern California. The home has a lot of protections when you're under the Fourth Amendment. You cannot misrepresent your purpose or your identity when you're doing ICE enforcement operations at or around a home, she said. Let's see. The ACLU's complaint centered on the practice of ICE agents trespassing on civilians' porches and private areas around their home without permission or a warrant in order to make arrests. It also alleges the common practice of ICE impersonating local police or probation officers to gain access to a home or to lure someone outside so they could be arrested is unconstitutional. You know, that Constitution, the one, the pocket that you have in your pocket. As part of these ruses, ICE officers routinely wear uniforms that have police written on them. Typically, only after arresting unsuspecting residents do ICE officers reveal their true identities and purpose, the complaint said. The Fourth Amendment does not permit ICE officers to coerce consent to enter the home by impersonating another government official and misrepresenting their purpose in seeking entry. God damn it. Wait, what happened here? Who knew that Joe Biden was a robot? Who knew that Joe Biden was still relevant? That's my question. How exactly is that? Why is he relevant? He's not. But it's true. Who knew? Such an ineffective robot, or too effective. I don't know. It's either or. Depends on the day. Okay. The latter claims are the subject of a still pending settlement agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, which, as currently written, prohibits ICE from misrepresenting their identity and purpose in enforcement operations. Their own fucking rules. Come on now. A May 2024 court order on the trespassing claims ruled for the plaintiffs, calling ICE's actions a violation of the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. You know, when they come to take your guns. The ruling applies only to ICE's LA field office, which operates in 7 Southern California counties, but sets a precedent for future litigants who might fight back against these tactics, Padilla said. South Tucson Mayor Roxana Valenzuela says the immigrant community has been living with heightened fear amid the Trump administration's deportation campaign. She praised Carino's actions in response to the apparent ICE ruse, which took place about a mile south of South Tucson. That lady is a hero, Valenzuela said. We need to protect each other. Now is not the time to be silent. Carino said she and her Southside neighbors have been vigilant about looking out for immigration agents as enforcement operations have increased in frequency, and they stay closely in touch to protect one another. You have to stand up for what is right, said Carino, who said she considers herself the community mom. Aww. Her daughter, Ashley Salazar, 21, said ICE shouldn't target longtime residents like her neighbor, whose wife is now returning early from a visit to see her husband's family in Honduras due to Wednesday's incident. The couple has lived across the street for more than 10 years, and they gave Carino her first lemon tree for her garden. We know them, and they're good people, Salazar said. He's been here many years. Why now? ICE arrest quotas are rising. Immigration officials facing aggressive arrest quotas for the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign have been frustrated by advocates' work to educate the public on their right to refuse entry to immigration agents who don't have proper documentation. In February, President Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, who is a upcoming war criminal, watch for that, suggested he would have Democratic U.S. Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez investigated for supporting, quote, know your rights sessions for her constituents. You remember that? White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen, don't take my wife, Miller, told Fox News this week that ICE is now expected to make at least 3,000 arrests a day, triple the daily arrests at the start of the Trump administration. The White House has been working to increase the pool of deportable immigrants on multiple fronts, including the administration's move to revoke legal status for people who entered the U.S. legally at a port of entry via the now canceled CBP One app, and to give DHS access to IRS taxpayer data for undocumented filers, people who have been paying taxes but not actually getting the benefits because they don't get the benefits of it. Those people. Agents have been targeting immigrants as they attend required court hearings, attorneys say, with a slew of courthouse arrests in recent days in major cities across the U.S., including in Phoenix and to a lesser extent in Tucson. And on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled to let the Trump administration revoke humanitarian parole protections granted to 500,000 people from Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua, which came after the High Court also allowed the administration to revoke temporary protected status for another 350,000 Venezuelans provided by the Biden administration, the Associated Press reported. Yep. DHS has argued former President Biden, the robot, abused humanitarian parole and says those protections were always temporary in nature. In her dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said Friday's Supreme Court order will have the lives of 500,000 migrants unravel all around us before the courts decide their legal claims. The Trump administration's due process violations and unconstitutional practices not only harm undocumented immigrants, but also U.S. citizens who have been the subject of wrongful arrest by ICE, said Alba Jaramillo, an organizer with Tucson's Coalición de Derechos Humanos, or Human Rights Coalition. Once law enforcement officials like ICE agents begin to violate our Constitution, then it's not just immigrants that are at risk of not having their due process rights protected, she said. It is all of us, regardless of our immigration status. Former Pima County Board of Supervisors Chairwoman Adelita Grijalva, now a candidate for U.S. Congress, said Friday reports about immigration agents potentially impersonating TEP workers are deeply troubling. Our communities deserve safety, transparency, and trust, not fear, at their own front doors, Grijalva said in an emailed statement. I commend our community for standing up for transparency. The Trump administration is attempting to chip away at the very rights that make our country great. Resorting to acts like this are unfathomable, and we deserve better. Jaramillo said Derechos Humanos Rapid Response Network connects volunteer advocates with vulnerable people who can request witnesses to quickly show up and provide support during immigration operations or to accompany them to court hearings. This moment requires everyday people to stand up for one another, Jaramillo said. We cannot leave it in the hands of law enforcement to do what's right. We can't even leave it in the hands of our elected officials to protect us or to make public statements, she said. It's up to us to help organize and use our rapid response network to defend our own community. We shouldn't be living in a country where we have to do that, but sadly our protection is now left in our own hands, or our hands. So then they give a number of quotes, or a number of tips, it looks like. So, oh, it has phone numbers and stuff. I'll make sure that this article is connected. Actually, let me go ahead and copy it right now and do that. Hold on. Where am I? Really? 93 how are they reporting on that? Oh my gosh. Let's see. Wait, where was I? Oh yeah, I wanted to put this in the hold on. Hold on, it's going to be noisy. Okay. Let me. All right, this is the article I just read. And especially for people in areas where there's high levels of immigration enforcement activity, this might be a good, not necessarily, I mean, it's outside of Arizona, it might not be, but maybe there's equivalent organizations within other states. So not a bad, doesn't look like it looks like a pretty good resource. So there. Okay. All right, and then I have one more article I would love to read to you. This is a little different. We're going all the way across. This is truly a global episode. Global Wake and Bake. Max, where have you been? What? Do you know that Tina Peters will testify in the Lindell trial? Is there still a Lindell trial? Oh, I guess that's a civic action, isn't it? It's not really it's not federal. Oh man, that's a civil action. Civic. Sorry, I'm dumb. Civil action. Ah, interesting. I don't know. What would she testify about? That he doesn't snort Adderall off the backs of interns? No, I don't know. So just using logic here. Oh, Karen, that's your first mistake. But why TF? Why the fuck would Dems have made a glitchy Biden robot that doesn't do well in debates and trips and falls? Right? Oh my God. That's such a good point. Yeah, she's a great witness. I think that's a great idea. Live from her jail cell. Pop. What's that Chicago cell block tango? I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't leak that database information. Yeah, that burned Pater to steal the voting software. But if I did it, then I don't know, whatever. Isn't she pardoned yet? I thought she was actually pardoned. Oh no, it has to be state. I thought they were doing something. Do they have some kind of tape on Jared Polis or something? I've seen him say a couple of nice things about the Dump administration from time to time, and I'm always like, what the fuck are you talking about, Jared Polis? Yeah, live from Patrick Burns Bushes. It's true. Cell Block Tango. Boy, we really missed an opportunity on the Cell Block Tango parody, didn't we? God damn it. What a missed opportunity that was. Damn. All right. Well, we're going way back. Not only are we going across the world, but we're going back in time. Does it start today? Teresa, I'm totally out of it. Oh my God. Is it something we can watch? Because if it is, I don't want to be wrong. I mean, I don't want to be right. If watching you is wrong, I don't want to be right. If watching Lindell cry is wrong, I don't want to be right. I doubt it, right? It's probably not. That'd be too good to be true. Womp womp. That'd make me too happy. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Wait, what? Here we go. Wait. Okay, hold on. Where am I? Am I over there? Oh, I am over there. Okay. Hold on. I know this looks weird, but just bear with me. Second. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say. Ah.
Shut up time for a man known for his loud claims about election rigging. My Pillow guy Mike Lindell goes on trial Monday in Denver. A defamation case for Lindell saying that a Colorado-based voting system company and one of its employees here were behind the rigging of the 2020 presidential election. All Lindell has to do is convince a federal jury that he's telling the truth. Our Marshall Zellinger explains how we got here.
Watch the handoff. That is why Mike Lindell is in federal court in Denver on Monday.
What is this? Sir, what is this?
Actually, that was just him being served legal paperwork in 2022. It's what he has said that takes us to this federal courtroom next week. Lindell has been sued for defamation by Eric Coomer, a former executive with Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems.
By the way, he just sued me as I walked up on the stage here. Just sued me. I just got papers. Thanks, Eric.
Lindell is accused of spreading false and defamatory claims about Coomer rigging voting machines in 2020. Claims that started 6 days after the 2020 election, when Douglas County conservative activist Joe Altman claimed to have been on an Antifa phone call about the election.
Someone interrupts, who's Eric? Someone else enters, Eric is the Dominion guy.
That was Altman's first telling of a story of overhearing Coomer claiming to have rigged the election, a story that was amplified by Lindell and his Frank Speech TV, among other conservative outlets inside and outside Colorado.
Eric Coomer did this directly to me, and I made one statement about him. Didn't say nothing for a whole year. Then you guys come up and serve me papers in Colorado.
Coomer's attorneys claim Lindell, Frank Speech, and My Pillow made at least $2.2 million in profits from promo codes tied to the defamatory claims of election rigging, which is why My Pillow was even brought up in this deposition of Lindell in 2023.
How dare him come and sue My Pillow? He's a scumbag for doing that. Put that in there. Scumbag. S-C-U-M bag.
Jury selection will begin on Monday. 8 jurors will be selected. They will be questioned by U.S. District Court Judge Nina Wong. Questions like, did they or close family work or volunteer for the 2020 presidential election? Or donate money for that election? Have they ever bought a My Pillow? And would that keep them from being fair and impartial? And do they believe a person has a right to say anything they want in public? Things will move fast on Monday. Jury selection will happen in the morning. Opening statements, and then I expect Eric Coomer will be on the stand Monday afternoon. He has to convince the jury that his claims are more likely true than not true. Basically, Kyle, 50% plus one.
This is the chance that election deniers have been asking for years. They say, just let us present our evidence in court.
I mean, they've had many chances, like at the Cyber Symposium, that will probably get brought up in this trial, because that was something that Mike Lindell hosted. But yeah, if they've been waiting for a courtroom to finally reveal 4.5, 5 years worth of claims, so be it. Your chances next week.
Get your popcorn ready. We'll be there in court. Marshall, thank you.
All right.
In the next 12 hours, jury selection is...
Oh, well, there's another one. Okay, anyway. Well, now I'm going to have to get all caught up on scumbag Lindell. That's who I'm going to have to get caught up on now. God damn it. All right, let's go back to the Kremlin. Fuck it. Back to 1943. Yeah. History. History, I tell you. History. This is from Aeon. A-E-O-N. I found this. I don't know where I found this. I found this yesterday when I was like going through shit. Must have been Blue Sky. But anyway, at the Kremlin in 1943, Stalin presented Orthodox leaders with a proposal. The Soviet state that had destroyed their church would bring it back. Let me come over here and read the symposium. Yeah, there's a lot of people that could attend the symposium. The symposium. I saw his book in a free little library in the park years ago. I took it out and threw it in the trash can next to it. Yes, Tom. Oh, hi, gal. We love you too. I love you too. All right, we're reading some history. Histoire. It's time for the history portion of the section here. 4,300 words. Jesus Christ. Catherine David is a historian with the Office of the Historian, U.S. Department of State. She was formerly a Mellon Assistant Professor of Russian and East European Studies at Vanderbilt University in Tennessee. The views presented her in her own or do not reflect those of the U.S. State Department or government. She is working on the book One Ukraine Under God. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out. All right, this is 1958. These are Russian monks in 1958, just so you know. They're all smiley. Anita, did I say hi to you? Because I know you came in during stuff was like, P.S. A new huge piece on Curtis Yarvin. I sent it via Signal. The picture is hilarious, and it took me many minutes of laughing before I could even read the title. Ooh, interesting. I'm going to go pick that up. Hold on just a moment. Because we can. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, and how about that? Is it a shocker that Curtis Yarvin is or Curtis Yarvin that Elon Musk is a drug addict? Wait, is that shocking? Did somebody say that was shocking? Wait a minute. Where was I? Hold on, I've got all kinds of things happening. It's just everything's just crazy. Hold on. It's crazy town here at the town. He has arrived. The New Yorker did a big one. Yes, it looks like Curtis Yarvin's plot against America. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, well, we definitely have to. Now the right is ready to bend the knee. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. All right. Well, let's read a little bit about the Russian Orthodox. Yeah. Unless you guys say, oh, no, I don't want the history one. And then I'll do whatever you want because I'll do anything for you guys. It's true. True. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Get your coffee. Thank you, gal. In September 1943, as the tide of the Second World War was turning in the Soviet Union's favor, the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin called a meeting at the Kremlin. Alongside the foreign minister Vyacheslav Molotov and the head of the secret police Vyacheslav Merkelov, were three men in Stalin's office for the first time: Metropolitan Sergius, Metropolitan Alexei, and Metropolitan Nikolai, three of the few Orthodox Church hierarchs left in the Soviet Union. The fact such a meeting taking place is naturally surprising. Even those who know little about the Soviet Union are familiar with its anti-religious policies, especially thanks to Cold War rhetoric about godless communists. Indeed, this meeting was being held after decades of persecution of the Russian Orthodox Church by the officially atheist Soviet state. The three metropolitans came to this meeting after decades of watching their church decimated all around them. As they greeted Stalin at the Kremlin, many of their fellow clergy were imprisoned in labor camps, and others were dead. By the end of the 1930s, the Soviet state had effectively destroyed much of the official existence of what had been for centuries Imperial Russia's most powerful and wealthy religious institution. But in September 1943, as Stalin imagined a role for a victorious Soviet Union in a post-war world, he began to reconsider his government's position with regards to the Russian Orthodox Church, and eventually to the entire question of the role of religion in an atheist empire. At this meeting, Stalin presented these men with a bold proposal. The same Soviet state that had destroyed their church was now going to devote its resources to bringing it back. The story of this meeting and the proposal to revive orthodoxy is rarely told, but when it is mentioned, it is dismissed as a wartime measure, as temporary as the friendship campaigns, between the USSR and the United States that also characterized the war years. Yet to gloss over this meeting is to miss its significance as a shift in the Soviet approach to religion, one that would leave a mark on religious life for Soviet people and their descendants in the decades that followed. What was the nature of this shift? It began with an acknowledgement that, despite the state's efforts, religious ties and ideas of religious belonging resonated with its population. Instead of ignoring the continued influence of religion, the state might be able to use it to its own advantage. Rather than allow religious life to operate outside of Soviet society in the depths of the underground, the state could create an official religious life that could be surveilled, regulated, taxed, and most critically, used to accomplish political goals. This story does not change the importance of atheism to the Soviet project or the significance of the USSR's founding as the world's first atheist state. The anti-religious policies of the Bolsheviks came from both their interpretations of Marxism as well as the particular church-state relationships that characterized Imperial Russia. On the whole, any religion was seen as a barrier to the transformation the Bolshevik Revolution envisioned because it offered a competing authority to the wisdom of the party leaders who were leading the revolution. But in both the first anti-religious campaigns undertaken by the Bolsheviks as well as the more systematic and large-scale measures of the 1930s, Russian Orthodoxy was singled out because of its close ties to the old regime and its role as partner to the Russian autocracy. Russian Orthodoxy was dangerous in the eyes of the Bolsheviks, and not just because of its belief system, but also its institutional wealth and influence throughout Russian society. Stalin's new approach to Russian Orthodoxy was thus likely possible only because of previous anti-religious campaigns. And exactly, Karen, the cognitive dissonance is real. Biden. I just don't know why anyone even gives a rat butt. I mean, I understand it's a good story for them. You know, it detracts from all the human rights abuses. But my goodness, who cares? As Stalin saw it, Stalin's new approach to Russian Orthodoxy was thus likely possible only because of previous anti-religious campaigns against the church. State-enforced atheism and its official exceptions were two sides of the same coin. As Stalin saw it in the tumultuous decades between the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 and the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, the Soviet project had been transformative enough that religious life no longer posed a threat. In the minds of the architects of the new religious policy, the state was powerful enough to not only control religious life, but to make it work for its own ends. The 1943 meeting led to a series of measures that created a new institutional framework for the Russian Orthodox Church to operate in the USSR. These measures included reestablishing the Moscow Patriarchate, the official seat of the Russian Orthodox Church, and enthroning a patriarch. Sacred properties expropriated by the state could once again be used by the church. Seminaries were founded and clergy recruited to teach at them, but ultimate control over church affairs and ownership of church property remained with the state. A new bureau was founded for the state administration of the church, the Council for the Affairs of the Russian Orthodox Church. What goals was Stalin hoping to accomplish with these initial measures? Insight into the answer to this question could be found in the questions Stalin began posing to state experts on religious life in advance of the meeting, questions that focused on the status of orthodoxy in Eastern Europe. It is no coincidence that Stalin was asking these questions at the moment the tide of war was turning. It was becoming clear to the Soviets that victory in the war could allow them to secure a sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. With an officially sanctioned Russian Orthodox Church in Moscow, historical spiritual ties could be used to support Soviet claims on Eastern European territories and be used as vectors of political and cultural influence in places with Orthodox traditions, including Eastern Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia. This line of thinking helps underscore how Soviet views on religion had changed in just a short amount of time. Ties between religious communities that had the potential to transcend borders was originally perceived as a threat to the Soviet regime. Now it was seen as something the government could use. There were also other considerations. The Soviets were facing criticism by their wartime allies about the USSR's lack of religious freedom. The Red Army was also retaking territory that had been occupied by the Nazis and understood that the German occupying authorities had, as part of their own strategy, reopened shuttered churches and mosques on Soviet soil. The Red Army was not so certain that they should be in the business of closing those again, but in creating a space for an officially sanctioned Russian Orthodox Church, the state was doing more than addressing these immediate concerns. It was looking to a post-war future. In evaluating the potential for what a state partnership with Russian Orthodoxy could do for Soviet power, Ukraine served as a testing ground, specifically the western region of Ukraine annexed from Poland to become part of the USSR during the Second World War. It is in the Soviet experience with these lands and its peoples that one can find the roots of the wartime shift in religion that culminated in the 1943 meeting. In 1939, following the secret protocols of the Nazi-Soviet Pact, the Soviet Union annexed eastern Poland and divided former Polish lands between Soviet Belarus and Soviet Ukraine. The people living in these lands were mobilized into Soviet society under the banner of what historian Jan T. Gross has called a revolution from abroad. The Soviets also mobilized the rhetoric of a national liberation, calling their annexation of eastern Poland a reunification, arguing that they were reuniting historically Ukrainian and Belarusian people to historically Ukrainian and Belarusian lands, and most importantly, under the leadership of Moscow. Yet behind this rhetoric of reunification was a recognition by the Soviet state that these people were quite different. I just want to see if I can make this bigger. No, it's not going to do it. Okay. Were quite different from their Slavic brothers to the east. At times, this recognition was acknowledged and emphasized. Soviet propaganda materials portrayed these peoples as being different because they had been oppressed by the previous Polish regime, and that soon these differences would fade away once they had been transformed by Sovietization. But Soviet authorities were also worried about the influence of newly Soviet peoples on their Soviet brothers, especially in Ukraine. Moscow's perception of Ukraine as disloyal preceded the 1939 annexation. It was a suspicion that led to harsher repressions against those accused of Ukrainian nationalism than of Russian nationalism, for example. But with the new lands added to Ukraine, the threat was deemed starker. Thus, in western Ukraine, beginning in 1939, Soviet authorities confronted their worries about subversive Ukrainian political activity with the violent tactics that were hallmarks of Stalinism: mass surveillance, arrests, deportations, and executions. The nature of this suspicion has been summed up in the saying, "When they cut fingernails in Moscow, they cut fingers in Kiev and chop off the entire hand in Lviv." But paradoxically, the singling out of Lviv and its West Ukrainian surroundings as particularly dangerous could also lead to concessions, not just violent crackdowns. Observing the religiousness of its newly Soviet population in western Ukraine, Soviet authorities feared the potential for religious institutions to mobilize anti-Soviet sentiment in the population. Recognizing that the Soviet state did not have the capacity to fully repress religious life in western Ukraine, they began to explore how to use religion for their own ends. Soviet authorities found that religious institutions could be useful partners in supporting the idea of reunification as a justification for territorial annexation. At the root of the reunification narrative was the idea that these formerly Polish lands were historically Ukrainian and historically tied to Russia. While the Soviets did not initially acknowledge this narrative depended on the historical role of a shared religious tradition, specifically Eastern Orthodoxy, in forming and sustaining these ties. Soon, however, the Soviets realized that a pragmatic approach to religion could allow them to buttress their claims to Western Ukraine. The idea that these lands on the western borderlands ought to be ruled by Russia could be justified with the presence of Orthodox churches. Thus, beginning in 1939, the Soviet state began the process of formally transferring churches in this region to Moscow's spiritual jurisdiction and reopening them with Russian Orthodox priests. The perceived successes that came out of this 1939 experiment in the western borderlands laid the groundwork for the Soviet-wide revival of the Russian Orthodox Church that began in 1943. In the newly Soviet western borderlands, state control of orthodoxy straddled the blurred boundaries between foreign and domestic policy, using religion to bring borderland peoples in, as well as extending Soviet influence outside its own borders. In a letter from the newly appointed head of the Committee for the Affairs of the Russian Orthodox Church, Georgy Karpov explained as much to Nikita Khrushchev, then head of the Ukrainian Communist Party. "We have determined that the Russian Orthodox Church can and should play a role in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Lithuania, in Latvia, and abroad." Creating an official recognized Russian Orthodox Church provided a blueprint for other religious groups in the USSR during the Second World War, often with the same goals in mind. Shortly after creating the Council for the Affairs of the Russian Orthodox Church, Stalin created the Council for the Affairs of Religious Cults to oversee newly revived religious institutions for other religious traditions, including Islam and Judaism. Not all religions were granted the chance for a regulatory model. Certain faiths were deemed too dangerous to the Soviet order to be permitted an official structure within the Soviet Union, leaving few options for believers and clergy associated with these communities. Still, these groups were not wiped out. Instead, they managed to navigate a precarious existence on the margins of Soviet society. The decision to refuse certain religious groups the chance for state recognition while granting the opportunity to others gets at one of the central questions raised by the wartime shift in religious policy. Could something as complex as religious life be institutionalized, regulated, and surveilled to the degree that it could exist to serve the Soviet order? Or put simply, was Stalin's Soviet state as powerful as it thought it was? Over time, the answer appeared to be no. Reports from the officials overseeing religious life are filled with evidence that the experiments with religion were going awry. Believers rejecting the authority of official clergy in favor of those deemed enemies of the state operating in the underground, religious practices deemed anti-Soviet nevertheless occurring in official sacred spaces, historical churches restored by the state to hold services being avoided in favor of basements, basements, woods, and rivers where believers felt their surroundings to be more sacred, and reports of Soviet-approved clergy using their platforms to denigrate the government. The reports show us that while the Soviet state was not asserting the full control over religion it wished to, they were changing it. In these reports, bureaucrats are parsing out the details of sanctioned religious life and making determinations about what was acceptable in the atheist Soviet Union. Whether believers or clergy chose to engage with Soviet-sanctioned religious institutions or not, they too were making determinations about how their own ideas of the sacred did or did not match up with what official religious life allowed. Hi, Easily. How are you? Hi, Jen Griffey. How are you, darling? I hope you're well. Happy Monday. That doesn't seem possible. But we're going to try. Underground religious life and official religious life began to develop in conversation with the other. The lines between the two were not always as fixed as believers or the state wanted them to be. One particularly ambitious experiment with religion undertaken by the Soviet state in Western Ukraine helps illustrate these points. When the Soviet state began sending Orthodox clergy to annex Polish territories in 1939 to enforce their narrative of reunification, they had to confront the fact that not all of this region's Slavic population were Orthodox. In much of Western Ukraine, they were Catholic. In the city of Lviv and its surrounding region, historically known as Galicia, the majority of Ukrainians were affiliated with the Greek Catholic Church, a church that practiced Eastern Rite Christianity similar to Orthodoxy, but that recognized the authority of the Pope and remained under the jurisdiction of the Vatican. The Greek Catholic Church presence in this region, dating back to the 16th century, called into question the idea that all being annexed to the Soviet Empire had once been unified under one Orthodox civilization. Historically, members of the Greek Catholic Church often used the existence of their church to show that Ukraine had a separate history from Russia. Indeed, Greek Catholic clergy and Greek Catholic believers were some of the most important figures in the growth of Ukrainian nationalism. And so, in Western Ukraine, the Soviets did not just establish an official Russian Orthodox Church, but also arranged a forced religious transfer from the Greek Catholic Church to the Russian Orthodox Church for the church's 3 million believers and hundreds of clergy. Those who refused faced arrest, deportation, and death in the Gulag. Many who agreed to the transfer did so under incredible duress, including physical torture and threats against their families. Some who refused went into hiding and tried to preserve the Greek Catholic Church in the underground. The decision to oversee this mass religious transfer from one church to another was a particularly extreme manifestation of what the Soviet state hoped to accomplish with official religion. In this case, it was not about a state-managed infrastructure for religion, but a direct intervention to the confessional belonging of individual believers to assign them to a religious institution that was more in line with Soviet state goals. To be sure, there was an important historical precedent to this transfer. The Greek Catholic Church itself was established as a way to bring Orthodox believers into the Catholic world in the 16th century. Beginning in the 19th century, Orthodox activists, with backing from what was then Imperial Russia, arranged forced transfers of Greek Catholics to the Russian Orthodox Church in the name of restoring orthodoxy to these peoples and lands. In this way, the Soviet approach to the Greek Catholic Church was informed by the goals and strategies of its predecessor, Imperial Russia. Indeed, as much as the Soviet Union put itself forward as a radical break from the old regime in trying to make sense of its diverse religious landscape, Soviet officials drew on what scholars Jane Burbank and Fred Cooper define as an imperial repertoire, where what leaders imagined what was possible based on the past practices and constraints of their imperial ancestor. For imperial Russian officials, as well as Soviet ones, forcing a religious transfer from one church to another allowed religious life to justify conquest with a narrative of national reunification and territorial restoration. As the head of the local Communist Party in Lviv in Ukraine explained in his report to his superiors about the status of the forced religious transfer, quote, reunification should not be carried out in only a formal fashion, but in a way so reunified priests show their devotion to orthodoxy and inculcate the believer part of the population with love for their fellow Orthodox, Russians, Ukrainians, and other peoples of the Soviet Union. Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. Outside of Western Ukraine in the decades following the Second World War, the realization that the instrumentalization of religion was not working led to a reversal of the tolerant wartime policies. In Stalin's later years and under the leadership of his successor, Khrushchev, many of the reopened sacred spaces were shuttered again. The Council for the Affairs of the Russian Orthodox Church and the Council for the Affairs of Religious Cults found that their requests for funding and personnel were routinely denied. Official clergy came under suspicion, their loyalty to the Soviet state called into doubt. Khrushchev launched renewed campaigns to promote atheism. But in some places, the experiment continued on. In Western Ukraine, the Russian Orthodox Church justified its presence as a bulwark against the underground Greek Catholic Church and the associations with anti-Soviet Ukrainian nationalism that came with it. While churches are closed across the USSR, Russian Orthodox priests in Western Ukraine successfully petitioned for theirs to stay open. By the time the Soviet Union collapsed, 20% of its surviving Russian Orthodox churches were located in the Galician region of Western Ukraine, the epicenter of the religious transfer, and a place that had been mostly Catholic before the arrival of Soviet power. The example of Western Ukraine demonstrates that in places where official religion was seen as playing the role the Soviet state wanted it to play, official religion survived long into the post-war era. Reflecting on the legacy of this intervention into religious life, it's easy to dismiss the state-formulated Russian Orthodox Church in Western Ukraine and other forms of official religious life as purely an imposition. But this ignores the experience of those who found meaning in the official Russian Orthodox Church, who prayed in its chapels, who took communion from its priests, and who attended the divine liturgy, whether reluctantly or not. In trying to instrumentalize religion, in Western Ukraine, the Soviet state changed how religious institutions were viewed by believers and non-believers alike. The mere presence of an official Russian Orthodox Church associated with the Soviet state created associations between Soviet belonging, Russian imperialism, and Ukrainian nationalism that shaped the experience of believers then and continue to shape perceptions of religious institutions in today's Ukraine. Evidence of this impact can be found in the recollections of those who experienced it. A series of oral histories conducted in the early 1990s by what is now Ukraine's Institute of Church History reflect the nuances of the imposition of orthodoxy. In an interview in 1993, Bohdan, a Greek Catholic priest who was forced by the authorities to join the Orthodox Church, reflects on his decision to join the official church, noting, quote, I knew what the Bolshevik authorities were capable of. All the churches could be closed. History will say we'll judge whether what we did was right or not right. But there was one goal, to protect the faith and to protect the church. Reflecting on his time as an official priest, Bohdan felt that he was able to preserve religious life even under less than ideal conditions. Another person interviewed in the series, Anna, makes a similar justification for her decision to attend a church that was nominally Russian Orthodox, yet explained that when she prayed, she noted in her prayers that she was still a Greek Catholic. Quote, I went to the Russian Orthodox Church. I said, God, I did not convert. I am praying exactly the way my mother taught me. The space of official religious life allowed people like Anna to carve out a spiritual existence under official atheism, an opportunity not available in other times and places in Soviet history, but in ways the Soviets likely did not anticipate. Both Anna and Bohdan began openly attending Greek Catholic churches when the Soviet Union collapsed and it was safe and legal to do so. For them and others interviewed, the state's association with Orthodoxy meant that Orthodoxy would become associated with Moscow's imperialist goals for Ukraine. Another woman interviewed, Nina, mentioned that before the Soviet occupation, she had no negative feelings toward Orthodoxy, but now it will be forever associated with Bolshevism. But other former Greek Catholics continued to attend Orthodox churches in the 1990s, feeling a connection to the sacred space and the priest associated with the parish during Soviet times, even as an era of religious freedom was ushered in. It is no coincidence that it was these Orthodox communities that became instrumental in the movement for an autocephalous, independent Ukrainian Orthodox Church. While they found resonance in the Orthodox churches established by the Soviet state, their experience with official religion meant that they did not want the Orthodox Church to continue to serve the goals of Moscow. There is another critical legacy of the Soviet experiment with official religion that lives on. Many of the men who serve as hierarchs in some of the most important religious institutions in the former Soviet Union received their theological education and clerical training in the strange world of Soviet official religion. They attended Soviet-sanctioned seminaries and led liturgies in state-owned sacred properties. For example, Patriarch Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church today, attended a Soviet-approved seminary in Leningrad and was selected by Soviet authorities to represent the USSR to the World Council of Churches as the representative from the Moscow Patriarchate, a position he held from the early 70s to the 90s. Often when observers bring up this information, it elicits a great deal of hand-wringing and condemnation over the ties between official religion and the KGB. As these men preside over ceremonies to commemorate the sacrifices of Soviet martyrs, could it be the case that they were the ones responsible for informing on them? It is clear that the tale of the official religion is more complex than that. Memoirs and oral histories of those involved in official religion have described their relationship with Soviet officialdom, including the secret police, as a negotiation between what needed to be sacrificed to maintain a legalized existence and what lines they would not cross in order to maintain their faith and dignity. In this way, the official clergy resembled many other Soviet people faced with a series of impossible choices. Having this shared experience clearly informs the role that religious institutions play in formerly Soviet countries. It is this context that helps explain the outsized role religious institutions have played in Russia's justification for its war against Ukraine, especially in the wake of the full-scale invasion of February 2022. Over his time as Russia's leader, Putin has cultivated a close relationship with the Russian Orthodox Church and the leader of the Moscow Patriarchate, Patriarch Kirill, who has held that position since 2009. The relationship between the two institutions began as mutually beneficial. The Church was a key legitimizer of Putin's traditional values agenda that helped buttress Putin's support, even as Russia's economy began an inauspicious downturn. In exchange, Putin ensured that the Church could control lucrative properties and state assets in the name of post-Soviet property restitution. In 2014, when Russia sought a justification for annexing Crimea, Putin offered a familiar narrative: the idea that his territorial grab should be seen as a restoration of the Russian Orthodox world, using the Church to legitimize his worldview. In February 2022, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Putin returned to this framing. Not only has Patriarch Kirill supported this narrative, but he has gone a step further, endorsing the war as being fought for a just cause, the unity of the Russian Orthodox world, and referring to Russian soldiers killed as martyrs in this holy war. Whether Patriarch Kirill truly believes this or not, it is clear that his own background in the official Russian Orthodox Church overseen by the Soviet state informs his decision to support the war in Ukraine. The idea that religious institutions exist to serve the political goals of the state can be traced back to the complexities of Soviet life. It is wrong to ignore the Soviet attempts to reconcile with religion or dismiss them as temporary measures. The Soviet Union's legacy in the spiritual lives of millions of people is much more than just a story of repression. Religious life did not just exist on the margins of the Soviet Union or in the homes of dissidents and martyrs. It was a sphere that the state tried to control and use for its own ends. And while the Soviet experiment with religion may not have accomplished what it set out to do, the values and assumptions behind it persist.
They persist in how post-Soviet leaders mobilize religious ties to claim people and lands, and how believers recognize the political implications of their religious affiliations and in the sermons delivered by priests to annexed territories. Contrary to stereotypes, the religious life of the Soviet Union remains alive and active in the world. Thank you. Thank you, lady. What was your name again? What was your name? Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. That was very interesting. I did not realize actually all the detail of like the post revolutionary interactions between the church. I was familiar with Kirill and his, strong ties to Putin and strong ties to the, the surveillance state in Russia and the oligarchs and all of that. So he's an interesting figure that I'd love to dig more onto. But there. Let me see how long this one is because I don't want to keep you all morning. Ooh. This is, my window's closing. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't want to subscribe. What? This is a freaking thingamabobber. This is an archive. What do you mean? Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. All right. Here we go. I want to read this. How long is it? Are you guys hanging with me? New Yorker closing the Overton window. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. How long have I been going? I just don't want to. Oh, 3 hours. I'm going to read this tomorrow. I want to give it its due, and I don't want to lose my mojo. So I'm going to read that tomorrow. You have to come back for that. Hi, Gary. Let me move that. P.S. Oh, yeah. Cal, thank you for that. I want to read that. I'll definitely do it tomorrow morning. This will be great, actually. I like the long form. I try. Yeah. Wow. What a morning. We were all over the world. We went all over the globe today. And I hope that the rest of your Monday is worthwhile and a little bit better news. Mike Lindell's in court. There's some good news. I got to figure out what's happening with Mike Lindell because we definitely have to talk about him tomorrow. I need some of those moments. We're going to find out all about Lindell. Hell yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming. I think we'll probably do a space tonight. I'll do a space. Let me commit. I'll do a space, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Check out the Harvard grad. Oh, yeah. I want to play that too. Okay, I'll find that, Butterflies. I'm going to find that speech because I didn't watch the Harvard commencement, but I heard that there was some really good stuff. So I will definitely pull that clip. I will definitely pull that clip and we'll play that tomorrow morning because we're probably going to need it. Probably going to need it. If okay, may play more of that anarchism thing. What do you mean? Absolutely. Other unaired stuff. Sharing folder. Yeah, you may play. Of course you may. Are you talking about Discord or are you talking about here? Did you put more in Discord? No. Yeah. Hell yeah. Please do. Yes. Oh, please do. Yes, yes, yes. Great idea. Oomph. Now I'm catching up. I'm sorry. My brain's not great. But yeah, Oomph may or may not, but may be playing more music in the voice room of our Discord channel. Let me go ahead and click you into our Discord channel. Let me create an invite here. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm gonna drop a link to the Discord. There is some disorder. Oh, disorder's our favorite thing in the world. I love disorder. You know how I roll. Let's see here. Oh, I just don't know where to begin. Redundancy is still art. I don't know. I mean, I like listening to things over, and I lack bandwidth. Oh, you don't have to DJ. Just let it fly. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Just play that music. Here's our Discord invite. You guys gotta join it if you're not. Even if, yeah, yeah. Just don't be a jerk. All right, there's the link to the Discord. Please join us. And then we have a voice channel too, where we play movies and music. That's right. That's what we do. This is how we do it. Do to the west side. This is how. Okay, well, I will see you. I'll hear you tonight, maybe. I mean, I don't know. You might not come up and say anything. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for the music. Thanks for the music oomph. That was really good. Really appreciate that. Gal, thank you for the links. Oh my God. Always making things better. Anita, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thanks for spending so much time in the morning with me. I really appreciate it. I love you guys very much. Thanks for your patience with me and my my fragile humanity here. Apparently. Anyway, have a great day. Easily, so good to see you. I hope the baby's well. I hope the grandbabies are well. And I will see you guys later, and I'll definitely see you tomorrow morning. Bye, Carrie. I love you guys. Thanks for being there. I sure appreciate it.